Hi, welcome to your Racist of the Month compilation. My name is Reese Waters. This is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank this month's sponsor, Racism. And as usual, if you have any further nominees, you can put them in the comments. You can email me at reese@reesewaters.com. Now, it has been a long year of racism. So exactly how much did they have left for December? It turns out a whole lot. Come on down. Congratulations on your first nominee, America. Oh, you want in? I give you Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley out of Massachusetts.
This bill, titled the Dismantling DEI Act, is an utter disgrace. Having sat and read the text in preparation for today's markup, I have yet another example to tell my constituents about the unserious work of the Republican Party. Now, I'll work with anyone serious about progress who wants to center the people who call this country home. This isn't it. The Committee on Oversight has the broadest jurisdiction in the entire House of Representatives to investigate any topic it chooses, but we are debating legislation that denies the sky is blue, water is wet, and racism is real.
Now, it's at this point I would like to ask a question that I asked, I believe in one of my prior videos. How is it, just projecting forward, because I know about the work to try and dismantle the Department of Education and the railing against CRT, and we can only imagine that both are going to intensify over the course of the next 4 years. How do you explain my existence here while simultaneously denying the existence of both racism and oppression? They really are going to claim we came through the border. Like they really are. I mean, one thing they would never claim is that we were here. That much we know.
Unless you're one of the first Americans, a Native American, you came from someplace else.
To let them tell it, they gave indigenous peoples a couple of town names and a couple of highways in exchange for never having to acknowledge that they were here.
The major provision of the bill says to ban anything that acknowledges racism. And a few pages later in the exact same bill, there are multiple provisions discussing the presence of racism. This Republican approach is as predictable as it is nonsensical. On one hand, they're saying that racism does not exist. On the other hand, they are saying there is rampant reverse racism. Well, how do you reverse something that never existed in the first place? Riddle me that.
Now, irregardless of how nonsensical that is to reverse something that never existed in the first place, how do you explain the necessity for anti-DEI legislation without acknowledging the reasons for DEI and the thought process that went into constructing DEI legislation? How do you do that?
How do you define DEI?
Was it just out of the kindness of Republican hearts? Because we all know it was you guys that, of course, put that together. So out of the kindness of your hearts, you decided, you know what? These spaces getting a little bit too white. Yeah, because when it comes to these potlucks, we don't have nearly enough choices. Okay, it's way too much potato salad at these work potlucks. We gotta mix this up a little bit.
Who made a potato salad?
Out of the kindness of your own hearts, you just decided that you wanted to diversify. It didn't have nothing to do with racist hiring practices. Didn't have nothing to do with all white mandates going back decades and colleges and social circles, churches, you name it, right? Didn't have nothing to do with that. No, we just one day we just was like, we really should help the Black community because, you know, irregardless of anything that they've gone through, because Lord knows we haven't done anything to them. So just regardless of whatever they've been going through, they haven't been able to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. So we just decided, independent of ourselves, that we would try and help them. And then we later realized that, all this stuff that was showing up at the work potluck was just too spicy. Like we realized that it really is harmful to our own to up and decide that we want to help the other group for absolutely no reason.
While this Republican policy may have a new name, it's the same old tired game. Look, y'all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. Do you all know your history? Do you know American history?
Now, to that, I would say they absolutely do. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't be working so hard to hide it. Yeah. It is an admission. All the work that they're doing to try and sanitize American history is pretty damning of what they know their part is in it.
The original Constitution counted enslaved individuals as 3/5 of a person. During World War II, the federal government forcibly relocated and incarcerated 110,000 Japanese Americans. The FHA practiced redlining in the 1930s and 60s to deny mortgages to Black Americans, which is why we have a racial wealth gap today. I could go on. The GI Bill, which is supposed to be race neutral, denied access to Black Americans, denying them equal access to education and housing benefits, which is why we do not have generational wealth. Don't talk to me about merit when those Black servicemen fought for our freedoms.
Now, typically, it's at this point that I would run that back, but I'm actually not going to do that because it was just so smooth, clean, and beautiful the first time. Very well said.
And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Yes. Your perversion of his words and his mission when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic Black man fighting for equality for Black Americans and all marginalized people.
Not only do they go against the wishes of his children, but they absolutely go against the wishes of their own ancestors who, by and large, refuse to listen, acknowledge, accept, or even respect Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. up and until the end of his life. Yeah. Y'all didn't think we were gonna remember that, did you? Yeah, we remember that.
So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history.
I'll be honest, I kind of diverge with her at this point. I actually am surprised. I actually am surprised because I had no idea how fragile the American psyche was at this particular point in time. I thought that things that I realized were problematic in the 80s as I was learning about American history, I thought maybe at this point, grown men would have come to a point of acceptance, but clearly I was mistaken. Clearly, we were cut from a very different cloth. I would also say that in light of these conversations that we have about American history and who we are as Americans and how we process things, never are the thoughts, hearts, and minds of Black children ever centered in any of these discussions. So we're not just going to hide the reality of American history. We're also going to allow young Black children to internalize their place in this country with little to no context.
What I am, though, is committed committed to speaking truth to power, committed to standing up for marginalized communities and vulnerable people, committed to ensuring that everyone has equal opportunity to buy a house, to work a job, to pursue higher education, and to live in a society that is fair and just. A colleague across the aisle invoked the phrase of, "We must do everything to stop government-sponsored oppression." Well, I've just enumerated numerous examples, which is exactly why we have legislation and an executive order to reverse this harm.
And I would also add that until the harm is reversed, that same oppression is continued. It doesn't end until it's reversed. So it is comical to hear we must do everything to stop government sanctioned oppression when we're engaged in multiple aspects of it right now.
And that is why I'm committed to opposing this bill and urge my colleagues to do the same.
That was extremely well said and well done by Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley.
The Biden-Harris administration has forced DEI initiatives into nearly every agency and program within the federal government. DEI initiatives destroy morale, decrease recruitment, and potentially violate federal law.
Whose morale? Huh? Whose morale you talking about? Huh? Because I just asserted, how these conversations never center around black people or black thoughts or black feelings at all. So I'm just curious whose morale exactly that is that's being diminished. Also, as far as recruitment is concerned, so what you mean to tell me is these huge pools of minority candidate possibilities, now them being brought into consideration diminishes recruitment? That's what you want me to believe?
These initiatives spread divisive and exclusive ideologies in our federal government workplaces.
Divisive and exclusive to divisive to who? So it's divisive to have diversity? Because the idea of accepting people that are diverse is so beyond the pale. So their very existence has to be divisive. You know what I mean? Kind of like when we had our boys club, when we was in the 4th grade, and then a girl showed up, and it was divisive because we didn't have the maturity at the time to accept a girl in our boys club.
Do solemnly swear to be a He-Man and hate women and not play with them or talk to them unless I have to, and especially never fall in love.
That's what we're working with as adults.
And taxpayers are left footing the bill. For these reasons, I support the Dismantling Dei Act. H.R. 8706 aims to repeal the federal DEI programs across the federal government. This bill prohibits funding for such programs and creates a new Civil Rights Act protection against requiring individuals to participate in such programs.
Just think about that. A Civil Rights Act to protect people's racism and discriminatory practices. We're going to protect your civil rights, in order to be racist. That is where we are in 2024.
The bill will lend legislative support to the incoming Trump administration's efforts to eradicate the Biden-Harris administration's entrenchment of leftist DEI policies in the executive branch. I urge my colleagues to support this necessary bill.
You know, one thing that I actually have to appreciate about Trumpism and Trump administration. So Trump has a lot of people that have put a battery in his back, and they see a lot of possibility with the power that they can attain for themselves in order to whiten all these spaces. So in order to go along with it, because obviously we know there can be no nuance in MAGA. And you know what? I'm actually going to let MAGA off the hook because that's generally how our politics is right now. There can be no nuance. So he is dragging all of these people along for this ride that's going to look historically as ugly as we see it right now. The James Comers of the world will go down as the one who sat there and explained a civil rights provision to protect people to be racist, and therefore dismantle DEI and talk about how the oppression is anti-white. He is dragging all of these people down the toilet bowl of history, and it is something to see.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once.
But she had backup. I also give you Congresswoman Summer Lee of Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not in favor of the Dismantle Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Act, or what it maybe would more aptly be called the dismantling any semblance of support or opportunity for certain American acts. We know who those Americans are. Americans who have not enjoyed centuries of unfair advantages by keeping others enslaved or segregated or disenfranchised or incarcerated or redlined or gerrymandered or excluded by law. Americans who've lived with disabilities or had their relationships criminalized or their gender expression demonized. If we're being honest here, this bill, which will wipe out every diversity, equity, and inclusion program in our federal agencies, plus those who contract with us, plus those who receive grant money, plus our schools, is nothing new. This is just the final piece of a decades-long obsession with targeting and dismantling anything that might give marginalized people a fair shot, including DEI programs, which honestly started the second the Civil Rights Act passed.
One more time. One more time.
This is just the final piece of a decades-long obsession with targeting and dismantling anything that might give marginalized people a fair shot, including DEI programs, which honestly started the second the Civil Rights Act passed.
And these are the same people that were engaged in all of this destructive action against other marginalized communities, mostly the Black community. The same people that will tell you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. The same people. It is every bit the hypocrisy that we see today when they call for a meritocracy and they call for things to be colorblind and then want to circumvent all manner of process by installing unqualified candidates. By all means, Laura Trump, she should be in the Senate.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down.
I'm surprised they didn't nominate Eric.
The same guy who got so upset when Hillary called his dad's supporters deplorables is now saying that Democrats aren't even human beings? Really?
We know why they didn't nominate Don Jr.
Inflation is basically stagnant. Yeah. The price of a hair curler, maybe has come down a little bit, or at least the inflation on it has come down a bit.
Policies like affirmative action and diversity, equity, inclusion are the closest things we've had to the mythical bootstraps that some of my colleagues insist historically and currently harmed communities need to pick themselves up by. After centuries of efforts to keep us out of schools and universities, from jobs and elected office, Republicans targeting these policies are no accident. Why do predominantly conservative white men believe that the success of a Black person or the opportunity or access of a Black person is an existential threat to them?
We know why. Because any amount of oversight diminishes their total control. That is exactly what that is. And you were correct to mention the idea of the bootstraps. So we understand just how disingenuous that was about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. It's kind of like when right-wing media talks about Black on Black crime. Yeah, that kind of disingenuous.
DEI is not given any unfair advantage that society itself does not already confer on certain Americans. It merely exists to ensure that all other people, that women, minoritized folks, queer folks, disabled folks, have the same opportunities to succeed and thrive in our workforce and our schools as people who have not had those opportunities systematically and legally stripped from them do.
And that is the problem. And that is the problem. It was all well and good till you said same opportunities. Yeah. Till you said same opportunities, then yeah, that is not gonna fly. But they said pull yourselves up by your bootstraps though.
Is our country not greater when all of us have opportunities to succeed and contribute and survive. Our success and our survival as a nation is bound together. Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs only exist to band-aid over decades, hell, centuries of discrimination against people's skin color, their religion, disabilities, gender, or sexual orientations, you name it. Contrary to Republican conjecture, remedying past discrimination is not, in turn, a discrimination.
Not only are they arguing that remedying discrimination is discrimination, they're arguing that the remedy is elevated above the actual discrimination. Because let's be clear, the actual discrimination has never been remedied. Ain't even close to being remedied. Let's be clear about that. So it's not just that they're prosecuting the remedy, they're also elevating the harm of the remedy, the harm of DEI, over the harm of literally all of the factors in American history which led us to a place where we felt like it was needed.
And we're not going to sit here and pretend racism is over just because one black person on the Supreme Court agreed that it should be. What DEI does not do is give some kind of magical pass to better jobs, like some of our colleagues are implying. That middle word, equity, does not mean more than or better than. It means treating people fairly and impartially. It means working to fix generational and systemic discrimination to the betterment of all of us and all of our institutions. But instead, Republicans are trying to bastardize the term DEI to be a slur. When Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was up for confirmation and when Vice President Harris was added to the ticket, they called them DEI hires. They want you to believe that a Harvard graduate with over 20 years of experience, who happens to be a black woman, is not qualified, but a Fox News personality is qualified to run the Department of Defense, and the WWE executive is qualified to run the Department of Education.
Now here's where they told on themselves, because if MAGA had any degree of sophistication, they would have allowed for black people to excel without all of them being subject to being called DEI. The only ones that aren't are the ones in the red hats. The ones in the red hats are fine. But if you are a black person in any public space with any degree of success, you have been called a DEI. Therefore, what you have communicated is, in your mind, it's actually not possible for a black person to be qualified. That is what your exuberance in spouting out DEI as a slur, that's the position that has left you, is that it's not possible for us not to be DEI. So when you talk about the idea of things being merit-based, and you talk about how you want to diminish this so everybody has an equal and level playing field, that is completely destroyed by virtue of your own actions. So we can now understand that this has absolutely nothing to do with qualifications. Even if you wanted to try and argue that Linda McMahon or Pete Hegseth or Tulsi Gabbard or Matt Gaetz or RFK, if you wanted to try and argue that they were in fact qualified, what you can't argue is that no black people are ever qualified for anything ever. Because those are the people, that's the group, the empty bin you're left with, that don't get called the DEI without the red hat.
Let's be real. There is an attempt to create a direct correlation between our race, being a black person, and our qualifications. So much as to say that there is no way to be a black woman. There is no resume that a black person could have that would qualify them unless that black person is a Republican. And there is a quota there. And while all of this is happening at the top level of our government, I can promise you these same things are happening on every single level of government and private sector. But those people don't have a national platform to speak out against discriminatory treatment.
Oh, believe me, it started happening at these lower levels well before it got to the highest levels of our government. You better believe that.
Where is a federal worker supposed to turn when another coworker says a racist comment to them in the break room? Whereas the same-sex couple who is denied housing because of their relationship, supposed to turn. Whereas a pregnant woman who was fired for being pregnant supposed to go. Often the only place that they have to give them recourse are the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. These folks just want to do their jobs, serving the American people in an environment that feels safe and supports them. Making work a better, safer environment for some does not mean it automatically is worse for others. And those complaining about DEI training are probably the ones who need it the most. My Republican colleagues have got to stop punching down on already marginalized communities and face their own fears of a level playing field privately. It's shameful.
It is shameful. In other words, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps, but make sure that you don't rise too high. Therefore, you will become disqualified by virtue of being a DEI, and make sure all the rungs that you hit along the way only cost other Black people or otherwise marginalized communities their positions and never a white person. Congratulations, America. You are our racist of the week, and we gonna be back here again. I guarantee that. I mean, even Larry Bird acknowledged America's racism. That's why I rock with him.
He said, hey, man, you can't put no white dude on me. Hey, that is straight disrespect, right? He said, don't put no white dude on me. So check this out. So the next year we come back, I said, I got somebody for your ass, right? Yeah. He said, who you got? I said, Robin.
Today's nominees, Andrew Isker and CJ Engel. And I might just have to throw in the whole white nationalist movement. Let's go to Tennessee.
Tonight, News Channel 5 investigates special report reveals the Christian nationalists who want to turn a small Middle Tennessee community into their base of operations, hoping to attract others from around the country. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Hunter Hoagland. They are a group who says they want to go back to an America before the civil rights movement. Their desire is to deport legal immigrants even if they became U.S. citizens decades ago.
And they want to put women back to where they think they belong. Our chief investigative reporter, Phil Williams, has been investigating this effort for 3 months. And Phil, you found that longtime residents didn't even know this was happening.
Now, this I find particularly interesting because according to them, the main target of their ire are the immigrants, yet the time frame they use is before the civil rights movement. So I'm just supposed to ignore that, though. I'm just supposed to, yeah, don't, ain't nothing to see here. Ain't nothing. No, we just meant an era of time. It's kind of like Byron Donald said, really, we just mean an era of time, but we just happen to call it the civil rights movement. Don't let the words that we use fool you.
The views of some of these people are not so different from the white supremacists we've seen marching down Nashville streets in the past year.
And Phil went in on them. Shout out to Phil Williams out in Tennessee. That was beautiful to see.
These are really pathetic human beings, and they just don't seem to recognize it. Frankly, I think that's how most of Nashville and Middle Tennessee views them as well.
Yeah, just so angry at the world.
And sad. Although they dress up their ideas with intellectual buzzwords and call it Christian. And they hope that about 90 minutes northeast of Nashville, tiny Jackson County will welcome their controversial ideas of what it means to be an American. For the Christian nationalists setting their sights on Jackson County, Tennessee, picturesque scenes like this represent what they call Heritage America. It's a notion reflected in the Norman Rockwell images they post on social media of hardworking white people, especially white men.
We're building a town. We're building a community there.
Leading the way are podcasters Andrew Isker, a right-wing pastor from Minnesota, and CJ Engel, who recently moved to the area from Northern California.
Like all of our heroes were way more racist than we're allowed to be today.
Not we're way more racist than we are, but more racist than we're allowed to be. That is that is a beautiful distinction there. And not to be ignored, the people you call your heroes. God, just so we're clear, just so everybody is clear.
Together, the pair host what they bill as the #1 Christian nationalist podcast in the world.
God made men to rule, period. That's the world God made. If you don't like it, take it up with him.
And here in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, Isker and Engel hope to make a new home in a place where most everybody looks like them and thinks like them.
So the question is there room for like-minded Christians and patriots in Tennessee? Yes, there's an imperative for like-minded Christians to gather and fight with us. Like, we need Christian nationalism in one state. Like, that's what we need.
After first announcing a project here along the Cumberland River in southern Kentucky near the small town of Burkesville, the developers behind the plan recently announced their move into Jackson County. Here along the line with Macon County, one of the developers has bought up 500 acres in these rolling Tennessee hills. It's not clear exactly what he intends to do with all this land. But just a few minutes down that same road, just across from the Jackson County High School, a separate business entity has purchased another 100 acres that they are apparently planning to develop. And they've announced that Gainsboro, the Jackson County seat, will be the focus of their efforts to resettle like-minded people from around the country.
From what I can tell, they're Christian nationalists, and I wouldn't hesitate to say white Christian nationalists.
And that is an important distinction, because this whole idea of Christian nationalism, because you first you gave me before the Civil Rights Movement, and then you gave me putting women back in their place, and then you gave me all of our heroes are more racist than we're allowed to be, and then you gave me God set out men to rule. So this whole idea of Christian nationalism, you are kind of dancing around like you doing a cha-cha slide around the blatant racism and misogyny that is really inherent in your brand of Christian nationalism.
Slide to the right.
I don't know why you get away with calling it Christian nationalism when it is white male supremacy. Like, I don't like why are they allowed to just call it Christian? That's what it is. Right now, I want to use my maiden name. Yeah, I'm using my maiden name is Christian nationalism. My married name is white male supremacy and white patriarchy. That's my married name. I don't use that no more. Now I go my maiden name is Christian nationalism.
Pastor Kevin Riggs has been sounding the alarm about the rise of Christian nationalism in Middle Tennessee for years, including Gabrielle Hanson's unsuccessful campaign for mayor last year in affluent Franklin, Tennessee. You said it borders on Christian Sharia law.
A Christianized type of Sharia law where everybody, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, it doesn't matter if you're an atheist, it doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist, it doesn't matter what, you're going to be forced to live by this narrow interpretation of Christian principles.
Now, I would like to go ahead and point to the fact that her run for mayor was unsuccessful. Was unsuccessful. That's the first hint of leopards in the vicinity. Okay, yet somehow this is still where you choose to resettle.
Having Christian nations on American soil. Yep, that's ours too. We'll take it, right? That, like, restoring American identity, right? American, like, heritage American identity, that's good.
As Isker and Engel see it, the only people who have a legitimate right to a homeland here in the U.S. are those so-called heritage Americans, like the ones depicted in those Norman Rockwell images from the past.
I would imagine in most of those Norman Rockwell pictures, there aren't any depictions of people who look like me.
Now, it's at this point I would like to bring in all of my black conservatives. Yeah, all of the black MAGAs that had so many excuses to make for this. Yeah, so where you at in the photos? I'm trying Trying to figure out where you at in the photos. They talking about going before the civil rights movement, and our heroes are more racist than we're allowed to be. I mean, they're not giving you a lot to work with and making excuses. So I'm just trying to figure out where y'all are at with your shuffling, because this music is speeding up.
We showed Nashville pastor Chris Williamson some of Isker and Ingalls' own words, in which Ingalls says his concept of heritage America affirms the domination and preeminence of European-derived peoples, their institutions, and their way of life.
There it is. Right in black and white, like literally in black and white. So I, for one, am grateful that we can finally address Christian nationalism formally.
Although he adds that his term also includes the blacks of the Old South.
Not Southern blacks, the blacks of the Old South. Just how old you talking? Huh? Just exactly how old are we talking here? I know we going pre-civil rights movement. We talking about like Jim Crow, like what Byron Donalds was talking about, Jim Crow. Oh wait, you put a hint right there, Booker T. Washington. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, okay. That was a great time for us. Let me tell you that. That was a great time for us. Where my black conservatives? Why y'all quiet?
According to them, if you are a descendant of slaves, you get to stay.
So they're defining my legacy, my entire legacy, really on slavery. I get to stay, even though I was brought here against my will and treated horribly through chattel slavery for nearly 250 years, but that's my heritage.
Even then, Ingle writes that his acceptance of black Americans is on the condition that they don't try to leverage their experience for the purposes of political guilt.
Now that's interesting. Leverage their experiences for the purposes of political guilt. Now, why would there be any political guilt or guilt of any kind if not for your own inherent knowledge and awareness of the wrongness of your actions? Because you're talking about political guilt. You're talking about guilt, period. And guilt exists because of your knowledge of your own harms. So you're aware of the knowledge of your own harms, but you will tolerate the existence of the object of your disdain and your harm. You will tolerate their existence as long as they don't try and leverage their experiences for the purposes of political guilt, of highlighting my own awareness of how wrong all of this is. And I just also want to point to the fact that I had a video out recently where Jasmine Crockett outlined what she called the white fragility that is inherent in us actually using federal resources to pursue anti-white racism with regards to DEI. So that is something that we are willing to pursue full-throated. Yet at the same time, you have white Christian nationalists asserting that they will only tolerate you as long as you don't leverage your experiences for the purposes of political guilt. They can't not deny the reality of not only where we came from, but where they're trying to go back to, and how that coincides with our active attention being distracted by this idea of anti-white racism. We are cooked.
Because really, you want to keep me in that place of inferior status with you. I'm okay as long as I stay in line and accept how you define me. But these days of white men defining black people, they're not happening anymore.
I'm not going to debate the meaning of America with those that seek its destruction.
The two Christian nationalists denounced the efforts of civil rights leader Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement in general, with Ingalls saying, "You cannot have both MLK and Heritage America."
Now we finally agree on something. We finally, it took a while. We finally agree on something. You cannot have MLK and Heritage America. Absolutely not. And I don't know how the right wing is going to deal with that, because they are actively pushing Heritage America, but they love talking about MLK. Woo, they love talking about MLK.
Please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths.
The two Christian nationalists denounced the efforts of civil rights leader Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement in general, with Ingalls saying, "You cannot have both MLK and Heritage America," and Isker declaring, "We should turn civil rights back to the states." They celebrate images of whites-only diners in the 50s, with Ingalls proclaiming the 1960s ruined everything. And they mock historical incidents like the kidnapping and lynching of 14-year-old Emmett Till.
With my black conservatives, because I wasn't supposed to take this serious, right? I wasn't supposed to take none of this serious, and they really all they out here with all of it, and they out here with all of it. I mean, really, they told on y'all. I'll be honest, they told on y'all. Yeah, they did. I mean, this is something that I and people, like-minded people, been calling out for a long time, but yeah, y'all gonna be real quiet on this one. I love to hear what the Rob Smiths and the Candace Owens got to say.
Yet they dismiss any criticism as people taking them too seriously.
So too are Isker's objections to the Civil Rights Act, his dismissiveness of the Emmett Till murder, and the broader racial views. Yeah. Well, that's funny. That's funny because that whole controversy was like entirely a meme controversy.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Like, Anyway.
Yeah. You get in trouble for having fun.
So what do you really mean? Huh? Because if that was the meme controversy, no, those are jokes. So what do you really mean? Because it's not like we just saw you in passing and you said the one thing. I mean, that fits with everything else that you said. So you can do all the fake laughing you want. I don't understand how the one thing is a joke when it fits with everything else that you said. Yeah, Trump be bringing up Hannibal Lecter as a joke. Yeah, he just be trolling y'all. He just be trolling y'all. Well, why does he keep doing it? Because nobody has ever laughed. Next question.
You have done nothing but disguised white supremacy in the guise of Christian nationalism. So call it what it is. It's white supremacy. It's nothing Christian about it.
Earlier this year, Ingalls, to mark the beginning of Black History Month, responded with his own celebration of Heritage History Month, holding up white supremacist thinker Sam Francis for praise. Among his writings, Francis suggested that if whites wanted to do so, they could dictate a solution to the racial problem tomorrow by imposing fertility controls on non-whites.
It's repulsive that people would think of me and people who look like me in such degrading ways.
And yet they claim to be Christian nationalists.
Keyword is claim.
You know, part of this is coming out of fear because we're moving closer and closer to that day where the white European Christian is the minority or the new minority when you add up all the other minorities. So they're losing power and they're trying to stop that as well.
One more time for those in the back.
You know, part of this is coming out of fear because we're moving closer and closer to that day where the white European Christian is the minority or the new minority when you add up all the other minorities. So they're losing power and they're trying to stop that as well.
In fact, their rhetoric.
They do hate us. They hate white Christian men, period. End of story.
Now, I love this race to the top of the persecution mountain, right? I love this because one thing that I will deal with is being called, somebody that embraces victimhood, right? Somebody that embraces this idea of oppression. We last saw that explode with Jasmine Crockett when she gave people the definition in the House Oversight Committee.
We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed.
So you will tell me that I embrace victimhood, yet at the same time say that people hate Christians and people hate white Christian men, while at the same time stating that you want to go back to a time before the civil rights movement where I'm only tolerated if I don't leverage my experience for the purposes of political guilt. I can't imagine why there would be any hate or animus whatsoever from a group that you're told to go back to a world 100 years ago where you could live like Booker T. Washington. I can't imagine why that would upset anybody.
Is reminiscent of this scene. Where neo-Nazis took to the streets of Nashville earlier this year.
If you strip it all down, they're saying the same thing. They're just saying it in a way that may be more acceptable to people. But at the end of the day, it's the same tired ideology of white supremacy.
Are they saying it in a way that's more acceptable to people? Because they're not dressing it up very well. I mean, this looks like me going to Saturday church. Okay, they are barely dressing up. Okay, I don't know if they're saying it in at all a better way. Perhaps people's willingness to dress up has changed. Their actual beliefs on these things. That, I think, is the bigger factor here.
As Isker and Ingle see it, this endeavor isn't just about moving to a place where the people look and think like them. They also imagine creating a political force that has an impact on communities like Gainesboro, eventually extending their reach statewide.
If you have towns like ours that we're going to be building, right, where there are a lot of people that are very politically motivated and very well organized, right, you can have as much influence as one of the big cities in Tennessee.
Hello and welcome to Contra Modem. It is election night. It's the big night. Welcome, everyone.
And on election night, the pair hosted a nearly 9-hour podcast from Gainesboro.
Oh, there he is.
No, he's on.
He's on. He's live.
There I am. Hey.
Hello.
Bringing in some of the biggest names from the Christian nationalist community.
This is Charles's moment. Charles, welcome to the 2024 election.
With one suggesting that Donald Trump's strong showing.
I mean, if he does that, then, Red Caesar, mandate from heaven, rock and roll, let's go.
Might clear the way for the authoritarian Red Caesar they hope will rise.
I don't want to be a gloom and doom type person. My hope is still in Christ. But what I see on a practical level scares me if this kind of thing just keeps growing and takes root in our country.
As for what these Christian nationalists hope to plant here amid the beauty of rural Middle Tennessee, these pastors say what they see is not American, nor is it Christian.
So when I hear people talk about Jesus and their Jesus does not invite people to the table of grace, when their Jesus excludes people, they're not preaching the gospel of Jesus. That's something else. I don't recognize that. And I don't want that kind of Jesus leading our nation.
One more time. One more time.
When I hear people talk about Jesus and their Jesus does not invite people to the table of grace, when their Jesus excludes people, they're not preaching the gospel of Jesus. That's something else. I don't recognize that. And I don't want that kind of Jesus leading our nation.
And that's not all. Among their other controversial views, they say they, quote, hate democracy. They're rooting for a Protestant dictator, and they think God made men to rule over women, that men are supposed to teach their women what to think, that it was a mistake to let women vote. And among the worst influences on America today, in their words, are college-educated white women.
Yeah, women. Yeah, women, especially the white women. Especially the white women. Y'all wanna? Yeah, this what y'all? This all the Megyn Kellys and the Nikki Haley's of what? This it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because you willingly got up there and excused all of the things that was said pre-election in order to allow this to flourish and to take root in our government and in towns all over middle America when this is what it is. So how are we supposed to look at you? Now, I'm not a woman, but how are other women supposed to look at you? How are they supposed to look at you when you making excuses for people who think like this?
Wow. I know you tried to get the two of them to sit down with you, get their side on camera, but it appears they weren't interested.
No, not at all. Both of them responded with defiant statements, essentially saying that Donald Trump's election shows that the media doesn't matter anymore. CJ Engel says his views are motivated by his understanding of American history and what he calls his love of country.
Now here is where I put side by side his talk of his love of country while openly stating that he hates democracy. And this idea of hating democracy is something that I think is going to have to be leaned into harder as we move forward. Because if there's one thing that we have seen at play, and definitely the last month, but I would say the last several months, is we believe in freedom. We believe in all manner of freedom, as long as your actions and thoughts and speech are ones that we can support. That really is as far as we believe in freedom, is our freedom to impose our will. That is the freedom that we believe in. And the outrageous contradiction of that kind of mindset with democracy and this idea of America is something not only should we not let slide, but we need to use actively every day, all the time. Today's nominee, Caitlin Clark fans.
Your announcement for Athlete of the Year, like tremendous, incredible positive feedback. That's what we've seen across the board. There's always going to be some negativity. And I feel like you have had to answer more questions than anybody about the intersectionality of race and gender and sexuality in sport, because of just who you are and you represent the growth of this thing. And even today, earlier today, Megyn Kelly, she was saying that you were apologizing for your white privilege and the fact that you wanted to uplift Black female athletes and make sure that they were getting the shine, kind of like your pioneers were getting the shine that they deserved. And I just want to know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career. But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing Black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin.
Now, it's bad enough how badly y'all reacted to her merely advocating that people register to vote.
I have this amazing platform, so I think the biggest thing would be just to encourage people to register to vote.
Or maybe it was the realization that she was a Swiftie.
Enchanted to meet you.
Taylor Swift! Woo!
I haven't seen a great white hope go this badly for y'all since Tommy Morrison.
He was out on his feet, precisely, Glenn. He was out of it, groggy. I mean, he doesn't know what's hitting him at that point.
Well, those are damaging blows right there. He was out of it 4, 5, 6. Wow. Morrison could have been seriously hurt there.
Actually, on second thought, this might be more of a Tina Marie situation, if you catch my drift. But now we have this. Caitlin Clark was named Time's Athlete of the Year. Now, I personally would have named Dak Prescott. Now, found in that article is this little section. After a much hyped Caitlin Clark Angel Reese rematch in the Elite Eight that drew the second largest ESPN audience to any basketball game, college or pro, in a dozen years, the Hawkeyes fell short in the championship game for the second straight year, this time to once again undefeated South Carolina. During the podium celebration, Dawn Staley, the venerated Gamecock coach, clutched the mic and said, quote, "I want to personally thank Caitlin Clark for lifting up our sport." Now that is fascinating. So you mean to tell me that the school that got demonized and the coach that got called everything but a child of God took a break from celebrating winning her championship to thank Caitlin Clark for elevating our sport? That's crazy. Do they know that she did that? Oh, they do know. They just don't care. Yeah, they just going with the ends anyway. Yeah, okay. To be fair, some of those were scheduled tweets. Yeah, those were scheduled ends. So, you know, those have been planned days, weeks, maybe even years in advance. Clark had little time to reflect on her accomplishments. 2 days before the WNBA draft, she flew to New York City after staying up late in LA while receiving the Wooden Award as National Player of the Year, went straight to a Saturday Night Live set and collapsed on a couch there from fatigue. She got big laughs during her Weekend Update segment, needling co-host Michael Shea for past jokes about women's sports. Her favorite, after Shea told Clark that he'd pass along a signed apron she gave him to his girlfriend, Clark quipped, "You don't have a girlfriend, Michael." The crowd howled. Clark says Jason Sudeikis, who had cheered her on at Iowa games, had suggested that add-on. Now, Clark's SNL segment did include a more serious moment as she thanked a quintet of black women, Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, Dawn Staley, and Maya Moore, Clark's basketball hero growing up, for paving the way for her success. That's wild. Do the fans trying to live out their racial fantasies through Caitlin? Do they know that she is thanking the black and that she looked up to Maya Moore? Do they? Oh, they just don't. They don't care. They don't care. To be fair, they probably don't even know that any of those people are black. If we're being honest, the only one they might know is Cheryl Swoops because they have been in her mentions so thoroughly throughout the last year and change. These stars, despite their athletic prowess, were never rewarded with the same level of attention that Clark is now receiving. Quote, "America was founded on segregation and to this day is very much about black and white." Fag Benley, who loved playing with Clark, writes in a text message, "In a sport dominated by black African-American players, white America has rallied around Caitlin Clark. The support looks mostly amazing, sometimes fanatical and territorial, sometimes racist. It seems that the great white hope syndrome is at play again," end quote. Going into the WNBA season, Wilson, a two-time league champion and now three-time WNBA MVP, that's Asia Wilson, told the Associated Press she thought Clark's race was a huge contributor to her popularity. Quote, "It doesn't matter what we all do as black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug," Wilson said. "That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is." Now, here is the point where I say, I told you so. And we're going to get to Clark's comments and why they are nominated here, because one of the things that I've said time and time again is everybody is correct. The people who said that she reached this level of popularity partly due to her race is correct. The people that said that she's a unique individual and there are lots of other white players who didn't get this kind of attention, also correct. The people that said there's been a lot of huge stars and none were able to garner this kind of attention, a lot of it has to do with her being white, correct. The people that said that she is being targeted because people resent the fact that she gets this attention because of her race. Also correct. You're all right. You're all right. It's just the fact that you refuse to acknowledge the other people are right. Don't believe me? Listen to Caitlin Clark. Clark is cognizant of the racial underpinnings of her stardom. I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. Why does she even have to, I don't understand. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish. Caitlin. I'm gonna let you finish. Really. I haven't seen people get hit this hard from their heroes since Eminem.
Let's do the math. If I was black, I would have sold half.
That was Eminem. Quote, a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. The league has kind of been built on them. The more that we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try and change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. That was very well said, and I am glad that she is actually acknowledging this and taking this head on. Now, I did wonder when exactly she was going to hit it, but she is quite young and she was playing in a new league, and I gave her a pass.
You have inward passes for life.
All right. No, not that kind of pass, Hodge twins. But I did give her a temporary pass. I do appreciate that she is at least giving voice to this right now. I don't understand. It's really not rocket science. How many fan favorites have been big men? Huh? How many fan favorites have been big men? The guy who comes off the bench and plays 8 minutes a game, who everybody cheers for, is always a little guy. Now, isn't he? Now he's also typically a white guy, but we're taking race out of it for now. He's generally a little guy now, isn't he? Now, why would that be? Because if we were all 7 feet tall, if that was our average height, but the league was dominated by little people, it would be the big guys who everybody cheered for now, wouldn't it? Thank you. When the Fever hosted the Chicago Sky and Reese in the first pro meeting between the two college superstars on June 1st, Indiana gutted out a 71-70 victory. Clark had skipped a Noah Kahan concert, number one on my bucket list the night before, knowing it'd be a bad look to be seen out giving the team's terrible record. But that contest won't be remembered for the basketball. In the third quarter, Chicago's Chennedy Carter hip checked Clark to the floor. Carter was called for a foul, which the next day was upgraded to a flagrant 1 violation. But while the WNBA could revise the ruling, it couldn't stem the ensuing furor that Reese jumped off the bench and appeared to cheer Carter, only added fuel to another Clark-adjacent fire. Imagine that, applauding your teammate. Some pundits cited Carter's foul as evidence that jealous players, particularly black players, were targeting Clark. The Chicago Tribune weighed in with an editorial imploring that Clark must not be allowed to become a target for rule breakers. The Tribune wrote that Carter's foul would have been, quote, seen as an assault outside of the sports arena. They went there with it. I wonder if the Tribune has ever seen a football game. It'd be a whole lot of charges.
Your hands are tender and they can move and caress the ball. That's kind of gay.
Or you can keep it at the WNBA. You just brought up Angel Reese. Wasn't no newspaper talking about an assault when she got flipped. Now what? No, calm down. We are here to give them their nomination. We've already litigated that. Now, matter of fact, let Caitlin tell it. The intense commentary came with consequences. Security had to intervene at the Skies Hotel a few days later when a man approached Carter with a camera, quote, I've been called every racial slur imaginable lately, and my teammates have had it even worse. That's from Sky Forward Brianna Turner. Now that is fascinating that they went racist with it, because I thought these were just basketball fans. You know, I just thought they liked the purity of the game. They liked the purity of women's basketball. And it just so happens that it took like 2024 was just a dawning of a new wave of fan. You know, just really because a lot of the games became more available and they finally found it. These people have been flipping around cable for the last 7-8 years trying to find WNBA, and they all just finally found it at the exact same time. And it's just a coincidence that you have a white star in order to celebrate. It's nothing racial. It's nothing racial. Now, naturally, the WNBA would have to step. No, they didn't. WNBA did nothing. So they went and capitalized fully on the Caitlin Clark popularity and did nothing to protect the rest of their players from the racial abuse. Wow. Well, that won't make them angry. Clark casts aside any notion that envious opponents were coming after her. Quote, "I never thought I was being targeted," says Clark. "Obviously, that shouldn't ever happen within a game, but basketball is physical. Your emotions can get the best of you. My emotions have gotten the best of me many times." Now, I applaud Caitlin Clark for saying that. That is a lie. She knows good and well she was targeted, and I can admit that. Look, even if she wasn't Caitlin Clark, even if she was just a rookie coming into the league, she would be targeted. Even if she was a rookie coming into the league that had the success she had in college, she would be targeted. You add on top of that the huge popularity and the reaction that you get from everybody watching that want to call any physical interaction a potential charge, and yeah, you got a whole target. And you know who you can mostly thank is these cornball fans getting a Racist of the Week nomination right now. She says she didn't even see Reese cheering from the bench. I don't even know if she really knew what happened, says Clark. Honestly, I don't think she was cheering because somebody hit me. I really don't think that would be the case. I hope not. Reese's representatives did not make her available for this article. Now, I was actually kind of disappointed by that. I thought it actually would have been a good look if she would have made herself available for this article. It also would have been a good look to see, you know, some of the second and third place finishers, maybe like CeeDee Lamb or Micah Parsons or Rico Dowdle. Somebody that would have been good. Quote, "A lot of people that wanted to have opinions on what was happening probably didn't even watch half the games that they were trying to have a take on and hadn't supported the W for a really long time," says Clark. Oh, we can go ahead and get rid of "for a really long time." I think we can go whatever. I think we can go whatever. There is a small subset of fan that was really into Rebecca Lobo. They might have taken like a good couple decades break and pop back up. But then again, there was the Diana Taurasi and Lauren Jackson era too. Okay, yeah. So now, you know, you're right. They took a little hiatus. They took a little hiatus, and now they pop up. And now it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. The day after the incident and a matchup against the Liberty, Clark ran into a Jonquel Jones screen and ruptured her eardrum. Quote, "It was vibrating. My hearing was really messed up. She shot 1 for 10 from the field and a 36-point drubbing. A 5-day reprieve in the schedule came at the perfect moment. And I, for one, am shocked that the Tribune just didn't go arrest her." Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't just tie Jonquel Jones' hands around her back with their media lanyard. I'm surprised they didn't take matters into their own hands. Just give them time, though. During these off days, Clark shot extremely well during drills. That gave me a lot of confidence, says Clark. It just reiterates, quote, "You are one of the best shooters." In Indiana's first game back, Clark hit 7 3-pointers en route to a 30-point game and a fever victory. On the bus, Clark texted her agent that she hoped that performance helped her case to make the Olympic team for Paris. Clark's agent responded immediately, "I have to call you." And I'm like, S. The news predictably was unpleasant. The Olympic roster was about to leak, and Clark wasn't on it. USA basketball officials hopped on a call with Clark. They were like, "Yeah, we haven't selected you. Obviously, we think the world of how you play and blah, blah, blah." She wasn't really listening. She knew she was good enough to be on the team, and that she had heard rumblings that she would be. At the same time, she understood the decision. The 12 players selected, including many future Hall of Famers and Olympic veterans. A point everybody was making was like, who are you taking off the team, Clark says. And that was a tremendous point. Clark also admits that during her early stretch for the 3-9 fever, I gave them a lot of reasons to keep me off the team with my play. Many people, however, rushed to her defense. The gist of the pro-Clark case: women's basketball missed a golden marketing opportunity to grow the sport, given Clark's popularity. It's an argument that Clark wholly rejects. I don't want to be there because I'm somebody that can bring attention. I love that for the game of women's basketball, but at the same time, I want to be there because they think I'm good enough. I don't want to be some little person that is kind of dragged around for people to cheer about and only watch because I'm sitting on the bench. The whole narrative kind of upset me because that's not fair. It's disrespectful to the people that were on the team, that had earned it and were really good. And it's also disrespectful to myself. Disrespectful, yes. It is definitely disrespectful to be on the Olympic team and told that you need to come off to grow the game, because you cannot grow the game. You do nothing for the game. So let's bring her in to help grow the game. That is quite disrespectful. I could also say, I kind of thought she should have been on the team. I do. Yeah, I kind of thought when they named the team, I was okay with it. And then I watched the team, and you can't tell me she couldn't have had some time at point guard. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm just being real. But we also know, to Caitlin Clark's point, if she was put on the team, she would have been put on the team for non-basketball reasons. Now, people do things for non-basketball reasons all the time. There were non-basketball reasons in the men's team and that selection. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Jaylen Brown.
And the Men's USA Basketball Committee, instead of picking up Jaylen Brown, NBA champion Jaylen Brown, Finals MVP Jaylen Brown.
Don't think that was a coincidence you said what you said about Bronny. But it was very well timed, though. Very well timed. People make these kinds of choices for non-basketball reasons all of the time. It's just a matter of, it would have been so clear and blatant in this particular instance. And that probably can't feel good if you're Caitlin Clark. And it probably shouldn't feel good if you're Team USA Basketball. Now, many observers seem inclined to reserve judgment on Clark and her approach to confronting off-court issues, given that she was a rookie adjusting to life as an athletic icon. She should be afforded some grace. Understanding the racial tensions in this country, could she have been more proactive about condemning her racist fans' words and distancing herself from them? Sure, if she's comfortable standing up for others and challenging her racist fans unsolicited, but not everyone is built like that. Now, to that, I would say you are correct. Not everyone is built like that. And so that is why I gave her a pass up until now. But once you start riding that wave, once all of the money, time, and attention of these knuckleheads elevates your status and your pocket, then you need to be built like that, or else that's who you're riding with. And that's the reason why I applaud her doing it right now. But it needed to be done. When asked if Clark did enough to combat the racist threats against other players, Montgomery, the Atlanta Dream co-owner and former player, declined to comment. Dream forward Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, meanwhile, says she thinks Clark handled it all well. Quote, I'm not concerned about her and how she stands with racial comments or hateful comments. She feels the way we all feel. She's made that clear. Quote, I know people want her to say more and do more. And I'm like, at 22 years old, how many of us have the skill set, have the ability to be able to communicate, says former Fever star and Hall of Famer Tamika Catchings, whose franchise rookie record Clark broke this year. She's a game changer on the court, but having to be a game changer off the court and get into the politics part of it, I don't know if that's her responsibility. I'm going to have to split the baby with you there, Tamika Catchings, because yes, she is 22 and she's young and she is a basketball player and she's not a person who gets into politics and all these kinds of things. I'm not asking her to set out a plan for reparations. Okay. I'm not asking for her thoughts on DEI. No, I am asking for her to denounce the ends. That's, yeah, I'm just asking for her to announce the ends coming from the crowd. That's all I need from her. And moreover, I'm asking for the WNBA. The WNBA want to say something now? The WNBA want to say something now? While Terry Jackson, executive director for WNBA Players Association, hopes Clark leans into her voice more down the road, quote, let's be clear, the responsibility for setting the tone and sending a message was absolutely at the league and team, but particularly at the league level. Yes, that is right, at the league level. During her WNBA Finals press conference, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert promised to, quote, attack racism against its players multidimensionally. She hinted at potential online controls to help clean up the discourse. There are some technology solutions out there that we could deploy and employ. I can tell you, quite frankly, I have a good level of disdain at a lot of sports executives. And I think Kathy Engelbert might be number one. Yeah, she might be number one, because this wasn't even in my purview that they absolutely snatched the WNBA finals. Like, that wasn't even, I wasn't even going to talk about that they snatched the finals and that she showed up wearing a dress with the New York City skyline. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That'd be like Roger Goodell wearing a Kansas City Chiefs starter jacket all throughout the playoffs, which he might do, actually. He actually might do that. But you mean to tell me you got all the Caitlin Clark money all throughout the year, allowed your players to be subjected to the racial abuse they were subjected to, and now you want to say something? After the finals? After the finals, that's when you want to say, when there's no more money to be made, that's when you decide that you want to say something. Would you want a cookie? You want a cookie for that? Congratulations, Caitlin Clark fans. You are, we got a new entry? Megyn Kelly.
Totally insincere. And here's how you know it's totally insincere. Because if Caitlin Clark really felt uncomfortable in the spotlight as the newbie who's white, because white people didn't build the league, she wouldn't have said yes to being Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. So either walk the walk or don't. But what you're doing here is trying to have it both ways. You're too cute by half, and you've managed to piss off your fan base. Go ahead and look at my Twitter feed and the comments under my tweet on this. She's lost thousands of fans, maybe more, as a result of this. And you will never appease the race bullies in the WNBA, ever. Because you're too popular, you're too talented, and too white.
Oh, not that tweet. That was the response. Is this tweet. Well, while we're at it, that first tweet did a really good job of mirroring all the language. That was solid. Look at this. She's on the knee, all but apologizing for being white and getting attention. The self-flagellation. The, oh, please pay attention to the black players who are really the ones you want to celebrate. Condescending, fake, transparent, and sad. Oh, man. Imagine somebody acknowledging the reality that she's existing in. Imagine somebody doing that. That would be like you, Megyn Kelly, actually calling out the misogyny of your own party, because I know you won't call out the racism, but these are the people you made excuses for right here, the Christian Nationalists.
God made men to rule, period. That's the world God made. If you don't like it, take it up with him.
Among their other controversial views, they say they, quote, hate democracy. They're rooting for a Protestant dictator, and they think God made men to rule over women, that men are supposed to teach their women what to think, that it was a mistake to let women vote. And among the worst influences on America today, in their words, are college-educated white women.
And the fact that you couldn't, fake, transparent, and sad. I would call it condescending, but you're not very good at that. So today's nominee, CNN's Scott Jennings. All right, run the clip.
What Scott was not accurate about, which kind of happens around the table sometimes, although I know you want to be.
Don't touch me.
I can't touch you.
All right, everybody keep your hands to yourselves at the table.
All right, but one of the things Scott was not accurate about, though.
Don't touch me. Where have I seen that before?
You know, I want to resolve this with you putting your finger in my face. Let me finish, sir. Let me finish. You put your finger in my face and you were aggressive and you said you don't answer. Let me ask you a question, though.
I don't.
You don't ask me a question. I thought you told us, Abby, that we all should speak among each other, not wait for you. And if it's all right,
you're going to ask me for my number after the show?
Hang on, Scott and Michael.
Brother, don't start.
In the spirit of conversation at the table, we're gonna keep the conversation at the table. We're not gonna have side chats because it's not helpful.
It doesn't get any more Kevin than that. I will sit there and act as smarmy as humanly possible, and then when you try and take the temperature down, because that's clearly what Bakari Sellers was trying to do.
What Scott was not accurate about, which kind of happens around the table sometimes, although I know you want to be.
Don't touch me.
I can't touch you.
I'm going to throw a little bit more gas on that thing and tell you, don't touch me. Yeah, that's right. Even more gaslighting live on the air. For one thing, the fact that Bakari Sellers was actually trying to take the temperature down was something that clearly he objected to. I can't have that. I can't have people thinking that I'm at all cordial with the crazy sycophantic left. Now, why do you think somebody would react like that? Like, why would somebody react like that? Because I'm trying to think, like, if I was on Fox News and that happened to me, how would I react? The thing is, if I was on there just spouting fire, like if I was on my Jessica Tarloff, I would be fine.
But the damage had already been done from that. And you need to find some safe middle ground where people know that the vaccine is safe for you, but you don't. Oh, well, what do you mean? You're fine. You're vaccinated. What do you? Oh, it's your turn.
It's your segment.
But then again, if I was there flailing from the mouth like Janine Pirro, then I probably would have a problem. So there's your answer right there. You know, they always used to say, you know who's losing the argument by who gets the most upset. And
what Scott was not accurate about, which kind of happens around the table sometimes, although I know you want to be.
Don't touch me.
I can't touch you.
All right, everybody keep your hands to yourselves at the table.
All right, but one of the things Scott was not accurate about, though.
So there is your answer. Now, another thing that occurred to me in watching this, when you say, like, why would you react like that, is why would that just be your immediate, oh, don't touch me? You really are used to people wanting to throw hands, huh? Like you are that used to people wanting to throw hands that you react to a friendly pat on the back, like, don't touch me, just immediately going victim. At some point, you might want to look in the mirror and ask yourself, why everybody want to throw hands? You know what I mean? Why is it so often other time people want to give me the beats? You know, maybe that is a question you might want to potentially ask yourself. Huh? There's more?
If you're on the American left tonight, here's my chart. The good guys today, Daniel Penny. The bad guys, Luigi Mangione. It seems to me.
How do you?
Everybody
what's
on the
the
left,
chart for victims?
I'm just telling you what I see out in the world.
I know. I just want you to finish the
today.
chart. Which victim is good and victim is bad.
What I'm telling you is
that's not on the second page.
People on the left can't
Scott,
seem to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys.
I'm not actually asking you about people on the left. I'm asking you whether you consider this person.
We had people praising Luigi.
I want to know whether you think that, as Congressman Crane does.
I want to holler at MAGA base. I want to holler at Fox News Watcher, especially, you know, the white man without a college degree, like the base. So your news media has chosen to lionize Daniel Penny and to villainize Luigi Mangione. So my question to you is, why is it that you identify with Brian Thompson as a victim more so than Jordan Neely, the unhoused man who could not get help for his mental health condition. Why is it that you identify more with Brian Thompson? And by the way, and for this thought experiment, you cannot use the word black. Yeah, you cannot use the word black. So just let me. Yeah, no, you can't use colored either. Yeah, you can't use ends. Yeah, also no ends. And at this point, I would also like to holler at all of my black conservatives, or maybe just black New Yorkers, the people that were here celebrating Daniel Penny and his not guilty verdict. I would like to ask you, if you were Daniel Penny in this situation, and you were the one that did you were the one that jumped in, and Daniel Penny was the victim, a white former military man. What are the chances that you would get off? Because we're so tired and something needs to be done. I'm just, I know you're celebrating. Yeah, I know you're celebrating New York. They need to clean up the subway. Yeah, sure, all that. But that's not what I'm asking you. What are the chances that you would get off for those reasons on a scale of 0 to 0? Then I want you to tell me, if you did happen to get off, what are the chances you would be invited to go to the Army-Navy game with the incoming administration? Yeah. But ultimately, anything that I could say about this was best said in the moment by host Audie Cornish.
Prosecutors do go after people all the time for a variety of things.
You keep referring to Neely as the victim. I think Penny is the victim in this case, and I think the people on that. I think people on the train are the victims.
I have a tendency to call the people who die a victim. We have different ideas about that, but to my mind, someone lost a child, and I'm always going to feel for that person. That's just how I'm built. It's like a Christian thing. But the reason why I'm asking is...
Are you saying I'm not a Christian?
I'm not at all. I just want to make sure that you understand it's a values-based comment.
Are you saying I don't have any values?
Not a political one.
Are you saying I don't have any values?
No, Scott, she's not saying that.
He is, but he needs a clip for the internet, so I need to
Exactly.
But in the meantime...
Ooh, devastating. There's more?
But before she entered a league that started in 1997, there were the Lisa Leslies and the Don Staleys and the Cheryl Swoops of it all who really built this league. And they weren't getting the attention because, let's face it, the league was built in a way in which it wasn't mainstream. And all she's simply saying is that I want to respect those who come before me. Now, conservatives do one of two things that I am so fascinated with, especially when it comes to her. Either they whine or they bully. So now it's time to do both. They're bullying her when she decides to just like a post about Taylor Swift post about Taylor Swift endorsing Kamala Harris. They
endorsing voting,
like saying go vote, and then they unfollow her in droves. And then she says, you know what? I am so grateful for all this money I make. I'm making more money than most of these women will ever see in their lifetime because I am a great player, but I'm also someone that they are using as their message person, that they are using me as a conduit to get their message out. And she says, no, I don't want any of that. I'm grateful. And hopefully I can shine some attention on Bakari because no one's paying attention to Bakari. And so I'm going to give Bakari some attention because you know what? Thank you for keeping this league alive, Bakari. Everything that you've done has really got to the point where I can be here and benefit in this moment. And Megyn Kelly saying she's on a knee apologizing because she's white, she's acknowledging the reverse DEI that no one wants to talk about. She has a privilege. She has been in this league for a year? And she makes more money than the people who built this league, and she understands there's a reason. Not because she shoots the ball well. Yes, that also helps. But there's another reason, Scott. There's a reason that says I'm white, and it's a privilege, and people love me. And I'm okay with that, but I want to also acknowledge everyone else. Why is she being bullied?
Why is that wrong?
Why is she being bullied for acknowledging something that's smart, truth, and factual?
Well, a couple things. Number one, whether you're an athlete or anyone else, if I hear you use the phrase my truth, I immediately then discount everything else you say because there isn't my truth or your truth. There's just the truth.
And that is unbelievably telling. There's just the truth, which by the way, is the story that's told by the majority. The story that we tell is the truth. There's not all this other room for other people's actual experiences. We ain't gotta respect what y'all went through. There's just the truth. I remember my mama used to tell me that when we was growing up, till I got into trigonometry.
There's just the truth. And when you start using phrases like that, it tells me that
That's not true.
Your brain has been captured by something that I don't really respect.
That's not true.
Number two.
That's not true.
Number two.
Your brain has been captured by something that I don't really respect. The I don't really respect is doing a ton of work right there. That's right, because they don't have to respect other people's experiences. Now, do they? That's why they're so quick to silence them.
The attention the league got this year was amazing, and it was all because of her. She is an amazing player. The arenas were full when she played in them. The TV ratings were up when she was on television. That's undeniable. But you know, the league still lost like $40 million this year. And it's never made money. And to me, when you're talking about having respecting people who built something, what did they build?
Just so I'm clear, the argument that you're making is that they built nothing, even though you acknowledge that the thing that she entered into had a great amount of success by virtue of her being in it. But had they not built anything, then what would we be talking about? I don't really understand how the idea of acknowledging the people that built the groundwork from which you are able to flourish is at all controversial. Folks do it all of the time, especially in the world of sports where the money is so much crazier than it used to be. But we always give deference to all those people that struggled in the past. Why is it that in this one instance, all of a sudden now it's an issue? You don't want to give no type of credit. Oh, I know. You know, if I didn't know any better, I would think this was the same kind of mentality that's trying to go in and erase Black achievement from our history books or Black contribution to building this country. Because that is also what you're doing now, isn't it? I would also, once again, like to point out the fact that you had to drop in that it's never made money, which means it's not making money now. So you're dragging them for losing money in the past, but throwing her up for them losing money now. That's a whole lot of flipping there. That's a whole lot of flipping. Yeah, boss, we lost money this year, but we ain't lose as much as we lost in the past. So how about that bonus?
This is the problem with the conversation about race in this country that we've never tackled. Because there are two things fundamentally wrong with what Scott said. The first is when you say things like my truth, right? And you just tune that out. My truth is just vastly different than yours. It's not just the truth. In fact, one of the things I would like to just help you understand is that the definition of white supremacy, do you know what the definition of white supremacy is?
I sure do.
Smile. Try smiling every once in a while. Try not to be, like, in your delivery, such a cold-hearted all the time.
It's at this point, I wish that Bakari Sellers would have just said, you know what the definition of white supremacy, and then turned to the side and just sat there quiet until somebody said something.
Do you know what the definition of white supremacy is? It's when you feel like equality is oppression. And for some reason, it gets so entangled because people just simply want equality, and you feel like that's taking away something from you. I'm not dare saying that anybody at this table is a white supremacist, but what I am trying to do is at least educate you on what the truth is. And so we both come from different, we want the same America for our children, but we come from different places. We don't necessarily want equality. Some of us just want equity. The second point is, Scott, you cannot denigrate. You cannot simply say that Don Staley and Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Swoops and all these women who do something insanely better than all of us at this table did not build anything that you can't respect. Yet the league wasn't built in a way that would make money. That's not what it is.
That's not what it was for.
But these ladies gave their all. The Sue Birds of the world. I mean, we don't even talk about the...
You go down the list.
But you can go down the list. And so that's my only point.
But
I'm hoping that you're able to understand that.
But Scott, you're saying... But Scott, it's disrespectful for you to say, what have they built? There are literal there are little children right now, little girls at home hoping that they can play in what they call the WNBA. And the reason why it's still up and still running, whether it's losing money or not, is because of these black women who are in this.
Isn't it because of the investors?
No, Scott, stop it. Stop it now.
It's not. I was in Dickie's arena.
Who pays for it?
I was in Dickie's arena.
Oh, look, I just got a tweet. LeBron, if the NBA didn't exist. Is that McDonald's? Y'all absolutely love to talk about how black stars, black athletes, black executives, whatever the case may be, have to give deference and umbrage over the people that created the system for them to thrive, right? They always have to make sure that they do that, but because they're brown, right? Because they're brown. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have moved so far on the right that it has become controversial to credit black people for anything. And I mean anything. Listen to Scott Jennings there. He wants to undermine it in any possible way that he can in order to not give black people credit for anything. You know, this sounds like the same operation that would label every black person as a DEI. It's the same. It's the exact same people.
There's a level of empathy that we have to have and understanding that we have to have. And we have to just stop being so abrasive, caught in these social media moments when we're talking about issues of race.
This is exactly what I was about to say, which is that, listen, Jeff and Scott, my dear colleagues, you don't have to defend this.
You don't.
Okay?
You could just say
it doesn't have to be. Defend what? The idea that Caitlin Clark should be denigrated for simply saying that she entered a league that other players who came before her were black, helped build. There's nothing controversial about that, and it doesn't need to be.
It feels so bland.
Yeah, she doesn't need to
bland
be.
and gracious.
Why are people attacking her for that? I don't understand.
I don't know. I feel like it says more about the people who are getting offended by it than her.
I think they're just disappointed that she appears to have been captured by the woke mob.
Perfect response. Perfect response. They laid out just how bland it is for her to merely assert who populated this league before she got there, and it's characterized as being captured by the woke mob. Oh man, can we give him 3 this week? Can he get 3 this week? I can tell you this, he definitely going to give us credit for this acknowledgement.
Here's the white privilege.
Let him articulate this, because I want to learn something.
I feel a little bad for her, because she's going to learn that it will never be enough. No matter how much of the phrasing, no matter how much of the groveling you do, it will never be enough for the people in that league that hate her guts. It will never say.
Now here's the thing. There are people in that league that hate her guts, for sure. And there are people watching who hate her guts, for sure. None of those people are at the table with you articulating just how bland her statement was. There's clearly a wide chasm of people in how they respond to her in the center and on the left. As far as the right is concerned, what you have just communicated is any level of acknowledgement or deference to the history of the league that she populates is characterized as being captured by the woke mob. So you tell me if there's any amount of acknowledgement or deference that would be at all true or meaningful, because from what you have told me, the answer is no. No matter how much of the phrasing, no matter how much of the groveling we may do, it will never be enough for the people that hate our guts. And you have proven that exactly right.
Why do you assume
they hate her guts?
Why do you assume that she is trying to pander? Isn't it
because
also,
I hear the language. It's the language of the pandering.
Scott, listen, let's get off the internet for 1 second. Everybody, right? This is not a conversation about wokeness, about my truth, about all that stuff. Okay, I know that these are buzzwords on the internet. This is a young woman who's working in a league where she has colleagues. She said something about her place in that league why do you think automatically that it can't possibly be genuine?
It's the equivalent of me saying, you know why I wanted to be a journalist? Because I saw Barbara Walters on television. Because I saw someone that I really admired and I liked the way she stood up for herself. It's the equivalent of me saying, you know who else I like? And go down a list of women who don't look like me, who do exactly what I do now, who gave me the dream, who gave me the opportunity. No one's offended by that statement because I am talking about the work ethic, I'm talking about the quality of what they do, and I'm talking about the ability to see the dream, and it is possible. She grew up watching Maya Moore, who happens to be black. And she said, when I saw Maya Moore, and my dad would drive me an hour away to see Maya Moore play, I was like, is this a real thing? Can I live in this world? It's no different.
All right, let me let you get the very last word.
Well, it's a good question. When I hear the phrase white privilege, sports is the one place where nobody on the field has any privilege at all. She doesn't get extra points when she shoots because she's white. She gets the same number of points as anybody else. Sports is the great equalizer, and it just felt like to a lot of people that she was groveling for no reason because she is an amazing player who deserves all the accolades she's getting right now.
Now, it is Christmas time, and I'm in the process of buying gifts because I do everything late for my little girl. And I noticed that when I go to get a doll, I go to get a toy, you have to, search around. The brown one isn't automatically the first one. What is the justification for blasting out white versions of everything and having that be the most readily accessible? What's the justification for that? Huh? The justification that you use for that is that most of the people that would be purchasing this are white, and so we're going to sell more of these. So it's not racist. We're not being racist. It's just this is what the audience is. So that's why we give you all these. And so we got some of the little brown, for the jungle. We got something for everybody, but we gonna put the white ones out on Front Street because that is who we are expecting the audience to be. Yet somehow you refuse to take that same logic to acknowledge how significant having a white star in the WNBA might be. I mean, how? Now, most of us have a Megyn Kelly and a Scott Jennings in our life. In fact, that is actually how I discovered meditation. I did, because I went and read all the rules and laws of society, and I realized that I couldn't react how I wanted to react and stay free. So that's where I found mindfulness and meditation. I highly recommend it, by the way. But now here we are in the middle of the month, and the holidays are coming up, and granted, that surely will lift people's spirits. Ain't no way they're gonna find time to take away from the holidays to be racist. Today's nominee, Christina Rodriguez. Now, when it comes to the most problematic of the Latino Trump supporters, I would have to give my bronze medal to the son.
Mireya and their 29-year-old son, Mario Jr., did vote for Trump.
Initially, I will say I did not agree with him. And then I started seeing that he was not afraid to speak his mind. And I noticed that he was not scared to say what he felt, regardless of what people would say. And I think I respect that about him.
So you liked his kind of brashness, his personality?
Yeah, I would say yes.
And I think I gotta give the silver medal, and this is tough, I gotta give my silver medal to his mama, talking about they're here to take the criminals home.
In what way do you think they're different?
The people that are coming here are the criminals, the ones that did something bad in their country. They're running away from their law.
Despite having close family members who are undocumented,
migrant invasion.
They don't believe they'll end up in Trump's crosshairs. When you hear Trump promise mass deportations, do you worry about them?
Yes and no, because the ones that I know, they're doing good. They're not breaking any law.
Despite me having come here illegally and all the relatives I have undocumented, not committing no crimes. That is wild. But my gold medalist for most problematic has to go to the dude who said he doesn't regret it even if he's deported. ... because he wants a better life for his children.
So you support Donald Trump because of the economy?
For the economy, yes.
Do you support his mass deportations?
No, it's not human.
Are you afraid that you could be deported in this mass deportation?
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
That has gotta be gold medal. It was tough. It was tough between him and the mama, but he also made a point that he was voting based on the economy. Yeah. You know, the economy that drew him here and has kept him here up to this point. Yeah, that economy. But from what Sydney told me, I think Cristina Rodriguez might be able to get on the board.
We begin tonight with a discussion that's been making waves, how some Latinos support President-elect Donald Trump. As we've reported, Trump has proposed mass deportations for illegal immigrants, saying you don't have to go home, but you have to get your ass the hell out of here.
Well done. I like Isaiah Factor. Yeah, I like Isaiah Factor. I'm going to become a viewer.
He says no anchor babies. Just because you were born here from illegal immigrants don't mean you stay here. His words. And here's a quick snapshot of voter turnout for the 2024 election. About 73 million Americans voted for Trump, including 45% of Latino voters. Tonight, we revisit this topic about the reasoning behind the support, a topic we began Monday. Let's jump back into the conversation. Joining us on The Factor Uncensored tonight to talk about this, Executive Director Theo Houston, Cesar Espinoza, supporters of President-elect Donald Trump, Cristina Rodriguez and Georgia Brago, along with Texas State Representative Jolanda Jones, who wouldn't ask Trump for a drop of water if her damn head was on fire. Burn, baby, burn.
This is true.
Yeah. This gonna be require viewing. I'm gonna be watching this. And by the way, Mr. Brago, I'm watching you. Don't think you can't get a nomination. Be careful.
So you saw the earlier interview, and so you're joining us now. Your thoughts about Latinos supporting President-elect Donald Trump?
So sadly, I say I don't understand, but self-hate is real. And all I know is this. They say they did it for the economy and jobs. They ain't going to be here for a good economy if there is one, and there ain't going to be no jobs. They're going to get deported. They're trying to uncitizen people. There will be no anchor babies. And they said, you know what? We ain't got to separate your families. You know what we're going to do? We'll just take all of y'all. Mm-hmm. So I think they signed up for a bill of goods, and Trump is showing exactly who he is now. And I feel really badly for Latinos. However, they chose Trump overwhelmingly. So,
and let's just go over this really quick. Well, they didn't choose him overwhelmingly, but touche with self-hate is real. To the whole point about economy and jobs, really they were being selfless. They were being selfless is what they were doing, because they willingly chose to be ejected to help our economy provide more jobs for the rest of us. Apparently that's what they meant. But that makes more sense than what they talk about.
So first of all, I don't believe there's an illegal person, right? So you might be here undocumented. Right, as you know,
but you still can't vote.
Right, no, you cannot vote.
Right,
there are no undocumented people voting for Trump. They didn't vote for Trump, right? The families did. But it's really interesting as I've listened to Latinos speak about it, and I have Latinos in my family. My son is half Latino. My ex-husband is Colombian. And my granddaughter is half Indian. Her mother's from India. Her family's from India. And as I listen, it's just really interesting to me that it's like they played their little white card on Election Day, and they're about to find out they're people of color.
One more time.
They played their little white card on Election Day, and they're about to find out they're people of color.
All right, George, let's bring you into this conversation, hearing what Jolanda has to say. Your thoughts about that?
So I think the key word here is illegal, right? We're Americans. Latinos are Americans. We're not illegal. We voted for who we think would represent our best interests. We want safety. Latinos come here for the American dream. That American dream is disappearing. The past few years have been tough for our people, not just for Latinos, for everyone. We come here for the American dream. We want safety for our children. We want better futures for our family. We want education. And we see that dwindling away. So we voted for who we think is in our best interest. That would be Donald Trump. Latinos don't identify with Kamala Harris. You know, she's out there pandering and this and that. We're not with that. We're way past that.
Today's second nominee, George Abrego. All right, I said I was gonna have to remain calm. That's one of the things I'm gonna have to do throughout this is remain calm. Pandering how? Pandering how? I'm just trying to figure out how she was pandering to because she didn't? Because she didn't speak in front of the crowd holding mass deportation signs? Is that way she was pandering? Huh? She pandering because she advocated for a path to citizenship? You one of those dudes who get turned off as soon as somebody like you, huh? Is that what it is? The relationship was perfect till I realized that she cared about me as a person. I can't accept that. Then he topped that off with we don't identify with Kamala Harris. So what is it that you identify with Donald Trump? I'm just curious. How much was your inheritance, sir? Huh? How much was your inheritance? Trying to figure out how many contractors have you left unpaid? How many felonies you been able to walk around with around your ankle while free? How many reality shows you done hosted? How many buildings you had your name taken off of? How many corn stars went on late night TV and made a mockery of your mushroom?
You know, Donald Trump, he's a billionaire businessman, yet he's out there speaking like just a common folk, you know. It's just who we identify with. And yeah, the bottom line is one of the biggest reasons was obviously economical reasons. We voted because of our pockets.
Economical reasons. You voted because of your pockets. What was the policy? What was the policy? Oh, I get it. Because you didn't listen to all the economists that threw his plan in the trash because they weren't talking like common folk. Is that what it is? Because they were using all the big words. Is that what it was?
You know, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and we were talking about the fact that some people, when they become either U.S. citizens or they've been here maybe a generation or two, they seem to get amnesia of where they came from, where their roots came from, and it seems like, and I've been talking to a lot of people in the last couple of days, and they're saying, you know, if we went through it, you have to go through it. Like, what happened to humanity, where just because I went through something, you don't have to go through it?
Now, what he's saying right there is real. That is a real aspect of our makeup. As not even as Americans, just as human beings. There is a part of we went through it, y'all have to go through it. We see it with punishments that are handed down generations. We just saw it on Capitol Hill when it comes to school loan forgiveness. Well, I paid my loans off, so why should y'all get a reprieve? That is a real thing. We went through it. Why shouldn't you guys have to go through it? Except in this particular aspect, one thing we know is that they have given themselves the ability to stop and confront based on the perception of otherness, who looks other. And you tell me how different you look than them undocumented relatives that you trying to eject. And that's once you get past the basic humanity and the ways in which you have been characterized. But yeah, I know economical trumps that.
You know, being a free black man or black woman was illegal in this country at one point. So, and at times, being a white person was illegal in this country. When the Native Americans didn't invite pilgrims to come in and say, hey, give us smallpox, kill us, put us in reservations. No, they came, they conquered this country, they colonialized this country, and they fed and they embedded the colonialism mentality into our people, and we still can't get over that. We still can't be proud of ourselves and speak our language and be proud of the fact that we're Latino, and now we have to play the white card and say, oh, I'm one of y'all. Hey, don't come ask me for my papers, because now I'm one of you. And that's sad to hear.
You know, this actually reminds me of a comment that I got underneath one of the response videos that I've had. It was from a Latino man who was saying the fact that we all just get lumped into one, undocumented, documented, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Colombians, whatever the case may be, we all get lumped into one, and that's enough for us to vote Trump. What you talking about, man? What you talking about, man? I can understand the idea of you not being a monolith, and I can understand there's lots of different factors, and you don't like the fact that you are considered a bloc. Who are the ones out here telling you to speak English?
This is a country where we speak English, not Spanish.
It's the Harris voters? Yeah, it was the Harris voters out here telling you go back to it's the Harris voters that's doing that, right? Yeah.
Christina, your thoughts about this?
I'm a proud Mexican-American Chicana, and I know that there's many others who feel the same way that I do.
Here we go. I
really feel like that we voted for President Trump because he really does stand for certain culture identities of outside of like just the color of our race, but also our morals, our values.
Okay, I'm going to stop her right there. What morals? What morals? What values? Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. What values? What morals? Because you want to tell me he stands for things outside of the color of our race, so I'm just going to ignore all of the white supremacy I'm going to ignore that. You said morals and values. You said morals and values. Yeah. Oh, look, it's E.G. and Carroll.
And I really feel like that President Trump was the best selection for us to vote for, and that's why we actually voted for him.
Let's support Trump. He's a real criminal. 32 convictions.
I mean,
he's saying he's 34.
Kamala Harris is dumber than a box of rocks.
You hear what she just said? Kamala Harris, and she said Kamala, is dumber than a box of rocks. Now, at least George had the decency to try and couch it as he speaks like a regular, he speaks like a regular person.
Too many good docs are getting out of business. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country.
So, if you're wondering why this was a racist of the week, this is it. We know what Kamala Harris's education is. We know what her background is. We also have heard Donald Trump on the campaign trail, and we basically saw him in the last 2 weeks give up campaign. Why is it that you would come to the conclusion that Kamala Harris is dumber than a box of rocks? Why is that? How do you? I'm just like you just brush past the litany of meltdowns and mistakes you've seen from Donald Trump. She's had none of that, but she's dumber than a box of rocks. Why? What is it about Kamala Harris that makes you think she's dumber than a box of rocks? And what is it about Donald Trump that makes you ignore all of the things that would cause just your average person to come to that conclusion, sight unseen?
She didn't have no policy.
Wow. Man, Isaiah, let me on the panel, man. Let me on the panel. I'll come down there. Let me on the panel, man. Come on. I can't keep doing this from away. Christina, what was the policy? Huh? What was the Trump policy that did it for you? Was it the deportation? Was that what it was? 'Cause that's the only one we know.
She didn't even have a plan. She didn't have anything.
She didn't have a plan. This man said he had concepts of a plan at the debate where she gave policy. And her point is she didn't have a plan. Because I didn't come here pressing you for making that choice for a specific reason. But you have left me no choice. You have left me no choice.
You clearly haven't sat for a bar, because if you sat for a bar,
just because you have a title doesn't mean that you're smart.
So she wants to dismiss her her credentials and say just because you have a title doesn't mean that you're smart. But he's smart though, right? Without the title and sounding like he does. He's smart though, right? I wonder what it is about him.
I know people who go to Harvard University.
That's a lie.
Okay. I went to high school. I graduated from college. 4 years of that.
Your
I went to
title
law
doesn't
school.
make you anything.
I didn't say
Your title
did.
doesn't
but
make
you know
you
what?
smart.
The people elected me.
Correction. Your title doesn't make you smart. Everybody else's does. But somehow your titles don't make you smart. So you can give me all the qualifications you want, brown lady. That don't make you smart.
And I am the state representative for House District 147.
Well,
but it's just like women to put women down and to call them dumb. So what is she? I mean, she ain't got no degree. Is she dumb?
I do have a marketing degree, by the way, and I'm not dumb. And I do know that there's no policy.
What does your decree mean? But anyway, the point is, self-hate is real.
I love myself, and I'm Mexican American, and I'm proud of it.
For Latinos in this country, because they're going to get deported, and their families.
I just need a quick five because she don't respect Kamala Harris's bar card, but she wants us to respect her marketing degree. That's what she just said. That is what she just said.
Okay, Christina, wrap it up.
Yeah.
Since you started it, wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, we needed policy, we needed a plan. All she ever talked about was LGBTQ.
We cooked the damage that the right-wing echo chamber, mostly Rupert Murdoch, but he got a little bit of help now with Newsmax and OAN. One of the things I have said, I've been making videos every day, since May. I've been making videos every day. You know how many times I talked about that? But every time somebody appears on Fox News, that's what it is. Whether it is Kamala Harris going on Fox News, or whether it is Newsmax trying to address Jasmine Crockett, no matter what it is, they gonna make sure they get in something gay or trans to scare away the conservative white folks. Not really for you, but they will take you if you will respond in lockstep with their conservatism. They will take it. If that's where you're at with it, that's how I know your channel ain't been off them three. Now, I gotta figure out whether or not I respect the fact that she actually tried to take the stuff she heard there out into the real world like it was legitimate. Like, did she think Isaiah Factor was on OAN? Like, I'm trying to figure out why she thought that would be accepted by mixed company.
George, let's bring you into this. The theory of super Americans being more American than American because the roots may be from somewhere else. And also your thoughts on separating families.
You know, the super American theory, though I've heard that before, whether it exists or not, I'm sure it exists. I've never experienced that personally with anyone that I know. I'm sure it exists and it's out there.
Ain't you the one that said that Kamala Harris was pandering because she respected you as human beings? That was you? Yeah, I think we've seen the super American theory. Yeah, I think we've seen that. Yeah. Economical.
It's because of immigration policies that your grandparents and your ancestors were able to come here, were able to establish themselves and
But
provide
there's a right way to do
with
it.
a better life. What is the right way to do it? I waited for 33
Not
years
illegally.
to get to where I am today. And I barely became a green card holder. Now because of that, I'm going to change my name to Charles and start forgetting my Spanish. Like, we have to be proud of who we are, and we have to stand up for one another, because I guarantee you that when they come for one of us, they're going to come for all of us, and they're not going to care whether you're third, fourth generation. They're going to come after you. They're going to question you. If you walk into a store and with a Caucasian, they're going to look at you different, and we can't. America is not a post-racial America. We are still a very segregated nation based on slavery. I mean,
it's crazy that this isn't obvious. Like, it's crazy to me that you really think they see you. You really think people got these Ray-Ban Meta sunglasses on who tells me who is and who isn't undocumented, how many generations they've been here. And the people that come up green, you got to leave them alone. But the people that come up red, you make them speak English and tell them get out the country. What videos y'all been looking at?
Can we just have a show on this, Isaiah? I think we need to have a series on this.
I don't live in that snowflake mentality of victim. I'm a victimhood. We're past that.
There's no
snowflake we are past that. We're way past that.
Apparently we're not. Were you not just complaining about what's going on with it? That was you, right? That was you. So when are you a victim and when are you not a victim? Because you also were the one earlier talking about you voted for your wallets at economical because you've been on hard times. You literally sat here and talked about how you and your people have fallen on hard times. So when is it snowflake and victimhood, and when is it you telling your story? Oh, when it's me, this my story. But you a snowflake over there. Who you think you are, Spanish Rob Smith? But I know at least Christina Rodriguez ain't struggling. She ain't struggling because she got a marketing degree. She got a marketing degree. She's smart.
You just got your green card. You just got your immigration status. So you know right now in this time, while all of this nonsense is going on about Latinos, the immigration lawyers are about to bawl. And there's people like me who are going to fight for those who are undocumented. There's people like you who are going to fight for the undocumented, because I have a business, I have a nonprofit. We work in the same area in Houston. So we know that this is not just going to be a fight that's just going to go and happen and these people are going to get deported. No, it's not.
Did she just say she was going to fight for the Go get her degree. No, go get it. Go get it. The one true thing she said was having a degree don't make you smart. Go, she gotta come off that. I don't care if it don't apply to what she just said. Ain't no way she qualified for nothing.
I'm just gonna say this, immigration lawyers are about to ball because there's gonna be a big fight. There's a big fight that's gonna happen, and it's gonna be to keep people here who are supposed to be here. If you're illegal and you're doing things that are against the law, you better be afraid. But people like myself, people like Cesar, we are going to help fight and make sure that the right people stay here, DACA stays here. It's still a fight for us, for our people.
Is that contradictory to the way you voted, though?
It's not contradictory, because it's just his opinion. What he wants, what he feels is right, is not always right. Just because you have a title doesn't make you smart. Just because you went to a certain school doesn't mean that you come from the best background. There's just people who just think a certain way, and there's people like us that have to show you that's not always the right way.
Okay, one thing that I do a lot on my videos is I run things back when somebody really hits it. In this particular case, I just need y'all to hit me in the comments. Can any of you watching make sense of what she just said? I just please, please somebody hold my hand. Walk me through it.
You know what?
Trump thinks that Hispanics and Puerto Ricans are trash.
No, that wasn't him who said that. That was one of his representatives. Nope, go back and watch that. But it wasn't him.
Which of Kamala's representatives said that? Which Kamala's representatives said that? Huh? What? Huh? Oh, but when the comedian said it, they pulled him off stage. No, they ain't pulled. No, they ain't in there. They kept right on going with the hate fest. I don't see how you shake that off. I mean, really, if I was, I'd have got up and walked off because there's no future. This cannot go good after that.
But it wasn't him.
And he's my staffer, and he said something offensive to somebody else.
It wasn't him.
That's not going to be my staffer.
Okay, let me just say this. Look, Latinos are naturally conservative. Whether you like it or not, it's very true. Naturally conservative. We value family values, religion. That's what we value, you know.
I think that's about everybody, George.
That's us too. That's us too.
Well, that aligns more with the Republican side of things,
the Democrats.
right?
No, they're just.
The Democrats haven't done anything in the past 4 years.
So
let's talk economy.
Let me finish with this. Let me finish with this. You know,
Sure.
I believe it was in 1982. Ronald Reagan said that Latinos are conservative. They just don't know yet. Well, now it's 2024, and they know it. We know it. The world knows it. America knows it.
All right. Go ahead, Cesar.
Well, I'm here to change the world. So we're going to make Latinos a lot more progressive.
And I'm
but
right there with you, too.
It's important to point out that, we talk a lot about economics, voting for the economy. Wait till you start mass deporting people. And people start leaving.
That already started
places.
with the Obama.
And people started leaving like places like they did in Florida. And a burger start costing $52, $26, whatever. An iPhone's going to cost $300 more. There's a lot of things that are coming. And then people are going to say, oh, we messed up. We don't want to be in the field.
It was happening during the past 4 years.
Wasn't y'all just talking about all the people coming in? Like, y'all can't even stay consistent through one Isaiah factor.
And a burger start costing $52, $26, whatever. An iPhone's going to cost $300 more. There's a lot of things that are coming. And then people are going to say, oh, we messed up. We don't want to be in the field.
It was happening during the past 4 years.
But it's
until
funny,
the election now.
But it's really funny.
And it was all with the Democrats.
Ronald Reagan talked about trickle-down economics, and economics didn't trickle down.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like the great white hope for people that want to be super white.
Well, I, for one, am happy that George has found his religion and his conservatism in Trump. That is a solid representative of your faith. That is, so I know where you're coming from with your nonsense. As far as her, I could barely make heads or tails. Like, literally, one thing you would say before he even went to commercial break, you would lose it and contradict yourself. But the one thing you were consistent about is you weren't about to vote for no Kamala Harris, no matter how many times you had to contradict yourself. And I wonder why that is. And had the nerve to try and throw Obama in there at the end. Yeah, let's blame Obama for mass deportations, which I don't know if she's actually talking about Obama or if she's doing the Trump thing where she's calling Biden Obama. Well, today, we're back in Tennessee. Yeah, again. I don't know why these white supremacists love Tennessee. First, there was the Nacho March in Nashville.
The khaki-loving extremist group known for plastering communities, including the Nashville area, with their white supremacist slogans.
Then there was the Christian Nationalists trying to take over Jackson County.
I'm not going to debate the meaning of America with those that seek its destruction.
The two Christian nationalists denounced the efforts of civil rights leader Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement in general, with Ingalls saying you cannot have both MLK and Heritage America, and Isker declaring we should turn civil rights back to the states. They celebrate images of whites-only diners in the 50s, with Ingalls proclaiming the 1960s ruined everything, and they mock historical incidents like the kidnapping of 14-year-old Emmett Till.
Well, they back again.
Confronting hate. Our exclusive News Channel 5 investigation continues, focusing this time on how Tennessee has become home for what may be the most influential white supremacist gathering in the country.
Every year, a state park right here in Middle Tennessee hosts the so-called American Renaissance Conference.
Today's nominee, the American Renaissance Conference.
drawing 200 to 300 people from around the country.
Can you call it a conference when it's 200 to 300 people? Huh? That's more like a meeting. Yeah, that's more like a meeting.
Some of them, the biggest names in the world of hate.
They got Charleston White, Chris Collinsworth, Joe Buck.
But instead of white robes and hoods, these attendees come in coat and tie.
I like the white robes and hoods better, if I'm being honest. I mean, it was intimidating at the time, but it's also quite a warning.
Here at Montgomery Bell State Park, the tranquility of a fall afternoon was interrupted by the sounds of protest.
No Nazis, no KKK, no fascist USA.
By a small group of anti-fascists upset over the return of the white supremacist American Renaissance Conference.
Now, why does Antifa dress like that? You know, because I feel like most of us are anti-fascists. So if anybody's just wearing a coat and tie, it should be the anti-fascists.
An annual event that's been held here at the Parks Lodge and Conference Center since 2012.
We're out here to make a statement. Don't ever come back here again.
No! You are not welcome here.
Y'all here for the conference?
Trying to avoid a clash that erupted 1 year between the two sides, park rangers set up a security perimeter, confining the Antifa protesters to the backside of the lodge, separated from the conference by a locked gate.
It's at this point I would just like to highlight the reality of checking into a hate conference. Yeah, I'm here for the white hate conference. Yeah. Waters. Okay. I was told that I could pick up my badge and lanyard right here. All right, cool. Also, you got any pamphlets or paraphernalia I can get just for my kids when I go home? They always want me to bring them something.
Basically, they invite some of the worst neo-hate groups into this park every single year to rally. You can see one of them right there.
In your mind, what's the difference between this and a KKK rally?
Oh, there is no difference. They're the same people.
Why he pointed at him like he spotted a bear or something in the. There they go, right there. Get the binoculars. Wow, that is hate in action. See how he wear that hat and don't care how silly he look? Yeah, his thoughts are the exact same way.
The protesters made it very clear how they feel. We're about to head over to the conference center and talk to the man who's leading all of this. Mr. Taylor, hi, Phil Williams.
Is that Jared Taylor? Wait a minute. I recognize him.
But I think the evidence is overwhelming that East Asians, on average, are somewhat more intelligent than whites, and whites are more intelligent than blacks.
But I want to know how it is you voted for Donald Trump when you're so into facts, because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based in propaganda and emotion.
I voted for Donald Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the dispossession of whites in the United States. If you were to deport all illegal immigrants, if you were to think very hard about letting in any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority.
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
I grew up in this country as a minority, as the children of immigrants. I was their first child born in America. And while I didn't have much possession or didn't much control, I really enjoyed myself. And I think that if you ask a lot of Americans, they would say that I had a lot to offer this country. You know, according to you, I guess I would be perpetuating the dispossession of white America.
That is true. That is true.
Would you say that you wouldn't want me in this country?
At some point, when my ancestors built this nation, They did not build it with the intention of giving it away to Mexicans or Chinese or Haitians or to anyone else.
Do you consider, you keep saying your ancestors built this country, you consider that a fact?
Who else built it?
Black people, Native Americans, Chinese people who came and built the railroads.
Do you think none of that could have been
Italian
achieved?
people.
But they're Europeans, aren't they?
You know what's crazy is in doing research for this particular piece, I happened to come upon a video where this man was testifying at a trial. A black man's trial.
That's all in the defense ploy to get him off with a lighter sentence.
Mr. Osby has been a witness of a considerable amount of violence.
Jared Taylor, author of a book on race relations, testified for the defense with a bombshell of an argument that young black men pose an unusual threat.
And my role was simply to explain to the jury that black men are more dangerous than white men are more dangerous than women, young men are more dangerous than old men, and therefore, since his assailants were two young black men, they were statistically speaking the most dangerous people in America.
But how do you argue that young black men are more dangerous than white men? What's your statistical evidence there?
The statistics come from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Black people in 1992 committed 55% of the homicides. They were 12% of the population. This gives a homicide rate that is 9 times higher than the white homicide rate. You can't argue about that.
So if what you say is true, then Damian Osby's attackers had just as much reason to fear him as he did to fear them.
No, that's not true.
They're all young black men.
Yes, they are young black men, but just because young black men are more likely to commit violent crimes than, say, old white women, it doesn't mean that every young black man is going to commit a violent crime.
Taylor's testimony was not challenged during the trial.
Now, you can say what you want about the current state of affairs, but we are not allowing Jared Taylor to testify in trials of black people. Also, let's all be clear. I am as fond of the 90s as anyone, but that was a low moment for fashion in the history of the world. Y'all saw what they had on.
At the main entrance, we were allowed inside.
This is very important.
Sure, okay.
Absolutely. Very important. These people can lose their jobs.
Sure, absolutely.
Their girlfriends can jilt them. I mean, that's the kind of society we live in.
Under the condition that we not take video of any of the participants' faces.
How would you describe the people who are attending this conference?
These are smart, observant, thoughtful Americans who see that our country is going in the wrong direction and has been going in the wrong direction for decades.
How many decades? How many right to the civil rights. Right there. Okay. That was right where it went wrong. Okay. And all the equality and all. Okay.
And your critics say you use, being smart, being intellectual as a cover for racism.
What is racism, for heaven's sake? Racism,
do you not know what racism is?
Well, nobody can really define it in any sensible, consistent way.
Oh, I know.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. I'm getting so hot, I wanna take my robe off. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your robes. I am getting so hot, I wanna take my robe off.
What is racism really? Here's my article called The Brown Scare.
Taylor heads American Renaissance, which includes a website that promotes articles like How Thousands of Black Behaviors Opened My Eyes.
Well, see, no, they're not racist behaviors. They regular behaviors, just like keeping the water bottles on the floor or taking the napkins out the bag and putting them in your car. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't nothing like that. You know what I mean? Keeping shopping bags in the dishwasher. It's innocent black behaviors. It's just thousands of them.
And leaked emails showed the website was one often privately promoted by Trump advisor Stephen Miller.
Oh yeah, nothing to see here. That's not going to be a problem at all. We good. We good.
What's the difference between what's happening here and a KKK rally?
I've never been to a KKK rally. I couldn't tell you.
Isn't the message the same, though?
I have no idea. I've never been to one.
KKK? Never heard of them. No. Do they study black behaviors? Yeah. He treated the KKK like they wanted Caitlin Clark to treat the WNBA's history.
I am delighted to see groups and organizations cropping up.
But leaked video from the 2021 conference shows Taylor meeting with Thomas Rousseau, the head of the Patriot Front. That's the khaki-loving extremist group known for plastering communities, including the Nashville area, with their white supremacist slogans.
Patriot Front!
Thomas Rousseau!
In fact, when we checked our video, that was Rousseau we had spotted on the bridge. Patriot Front later posted a group photo of them at this year's conference.
He is really proud of that hat, isn't he? Yeah, he really. Yeah. So they do the face coverings and made sure you couldn't show nobody, but he just gonna sit there and wear the same identifiable hat everywhere. Okay. Hey, check all the surveillance footage. Yeah, I just want to see something.
They do their thing, I do mine.
How about the neon?
I don't even know a neon.
But among this year's speakers was Austrian Martin Sellner, a neo who plastered on a synagogue in 2006. And after some 50 people were mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand in 2019, emails show Sellner had been in contact with the shooter. Although he was never charged with any wrongdoing, Sellner was barred from entering the U.S. and had to appear at the conference by video.
When I say I don't know any nachos, I meant in the biblical sense. Yeah, that we don't do that. So I meant in the biblical sense. I don't know any. You know, they be my mans though.
Do you not consider yourself a racist?
No.
Like other people at the American Renaissance Conference, Taylor argues for a separation of the races.
Ain't nowhere in the world he'd leave a black neighborhood looking like that.
Where whites don't have to be reminded of slavery, segregation, or the fact that racism still exists.
Wait, run that back.
Where whites don't have to be reminded of slavery, segregation, or the fact that racism still exists.
If I understand this clearly, your reasoning for the separation of the races is so you don't have to be reminded about slavery, segregation, or that racism still exists. So the presence of black people is a reminder of the atrocities in history that has populated this country with black people. So therefore, you want to be separated so you don't have to be reminded of your own actions. Just so I'm clear, you wouldn't feel pain in being reminded of your own actions if not for your own awareness of just how wrong they were.
If leftists were consistent, they would be perfectly happy to say, yes, you white people, you torment all of these non-whites. Of course, we do not.
But white people did.
Well, hold on. Why can't you let me finish?
You keep wanting to gloss over the history.
I'm not denying the history at all. What have I glossed over? Of course, there's been slavery, Jim Crow, segregation. I'm not denying any of that. Don't put words in my mouth.
Didn't you just say that you didn't torment the non? So what you call? That was all for fun? That was all? Y'all were just playing?
Yet when I pressed Taylor on how he and others at the conference would separate the races, if you want that white-only land, why don't you go find somewhere else to live?
What do you mean find someplace else?
Where do you want the people of color to go?
I don't want them to go anywhere.
He was short on specifics.
No, because he got concepts of a plan. Yeah, he got concepts of a plan for separation. They'll figure it out.
So it sounds like you're advocating for something that you have no idea how it would work.
Oh, I have a good idea how it would work.
You just told me you didn't.
Well, the practicalities of it. I think it's entirely possible that an American state might secede.
Montana, go ahead. Matter of fact, take Idaho with you. Yeah. Y'all good. Grab some bagels, some water, or some Gatorade, whatever y'all need for the road. Don't get cute, Florida. Don't get cute.
There is a considerable secessionist movement all around the country today.
So
it's
you are in
entirely
favor
possible.
of secession, breaking up the United States?
I'm a believer in separation.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Then, as we prepare to head out,
Why are none of you showing your names or badge numbers?
The last time we saw the protesters, they were at a dock across from the lodge. Now they're apparently having some sort of standoff with police here.
No, we are all people. They want to people.
We soon discovered protesters had attempted to get closer to the main entrance, hoping to be able to confront conference attendees more directly.
So you're wanting to go down to the lodge?
We are wanting to go anywhere on public property that we are constitutionally allowed to do, and they are inhibiting that. But yes, specifically, we would like to go down towards the lodge where they are expressing their speech, and we'd like to likewise express our own.
Everyone you care about.
Yet as I watched the determination of the protesters, I was also reminded of Jerry Taylor's own determination and his insistence that he believes he and his group are wearing down the resistance.
I think they've kind of given up. I mean, we're going to be back here, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, they worn down. Because last year we was at 298. This year we at 303. And that barrier right there was really what we needed. That was it. Actually, those extra people were just a family of 6 that was sightseeing. Yeah, they wandered into the wrong conference room. So you can't claim them. You back at 298.
Yeah, we're not going to change Jared Taylor's mind. He's not going to change ours. That's not why we're here. We're here to let the public know that this will not stand in our state of Tennessee. That's all I have. Yeah.
But as you saw there, Jerry Taylor and his white supremacist friends feel they have the advantage, 200 or 300 of them, to compare to maybe a dozen protesters. So they feel welcomed here, plus they get an army of law enforcement there to protect their First Amendment rights to have and express those views.
Really eye-opening. Who pays for all that extra law enforcement?
Well, as you might imagine, you and I do. A few years back, the state of Tennessee tried to charge them for the security associated with this conference, but a federal judge ruled that such fees were unconstitutional.
Interesting. Phil, thank you. Sounds like we all can keep shining a light on this. More stories to come.
Absolutely.
Phil, thank you.
I love that they actually take credit for how few people were needed or even knew about the thing enough to show up and oppose it. Also, shout out to Phil. I saw that blue sky. I saw that blue sky. That was well done. You know what, Tennessee? We have been here at least 4 times with these white supremacists. There was the people of Nashville standing up to the Nacho March. There was the attempted takeover of Jackson County, and in Jackson County standing up.
People from all different walks of life, genealogies, nationalities, race, you name it. We have got a melting pot right here in this small town, all working together to make this town come back to life.
What is it you're afraid of losing?
I don't want to lose what we already have. The sense of community.
It is a very welcoming community, but I think they kind of came in under the radar and want to recreate it in their own image.
Their wolf in sheep's clothing.
But what really concerned these Jackson County residents, some who were reluctant for their faces to be on camera, are the podcasters' views that the civil rights movement was a mistake, that foreigners who've become U.S. citizens still don't belong in America.
What is it you would like for these people coming in from out of state to know? What message would you have for these people?
This town is not for them.
Bigotry is not one.
No, it's not going to work.
We're not that community, and we don't want to be a part of a racial hate community.
And this how y'all receive the Jared Taylor conference. Not bad, Tennessee. I'm gonna be honest. Not bad. You doing your thing. It's a lot of leopards in the vicinity. I see. It's a lot of leopards in the vicinity. Congratulations! Oh, look, isn't that nice? Personally, I don't know why we're here. That was oh, word. We can't have nothing. Even in the holidays, we gotta worry about some nonsense. Here we go. Coleman battles racist Sundown town legacy as it becomes Alabama's cutest Christmas town. Coleman is enjoying the spotlight this holiday season as visitors flock to a celebration of the Alabama city's German roots, the Christkindlmarkt. The Christkindlmarkt, featuring a 40-foot tall Christmas pyramid that is the country's tallest, the one-of-a-kind Christmas market, also features an ice skating rink, Ferris wheel, and a life-size nativity scene. See, if they really wanted to be black friendly, they would have just made it a skating rink. Yeah, they just would have made it a regular skating rink, like 80s style. Then they would integrate it then. But then you put ice down, we know what time it is. It caught the attention of Southern Living, which named the city of nearly 20,000 one of the cutest Christmas towns in the South. The article noted the market was, quote, in the perfect small town. Now what might follow the perfect small town? Here's a multiple choice for you. What might follow the perfect small town? Would it be lush greenery? Would it be fantastic schools? Would it be a burgeoning economy? Let's see what the next sentence might be to the perfect small town. Coleman, where just over 1% of residents are black. That's how you gonna follow perfect small town? That's really how you gonna follow perfect small town? Oh, look at that. Black Enterprise just named Atlanta the perfect American city for the 18th year in a row. Coleman, where just over 1% of residents are black, has now been forced to confront the racist ghosts of its past after a TikTok video sparked widespread discussion over a decades-long reputation as a, quote, sundown town, a place black people should flee before nightfall or face violence. Now, here's a question. If that was part of the history of the town, why wouldn't that already be confronted? Why would it require a TikTok? So you were perfectly fine with it till that TikTok. We would be a perfect sundown town if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Quote, y'all, we got drama in Alabama, the video states. Ain't nobody coming to Coleman. Coleman, Alabama is a sundown town, was, is, forever will be, the video continues. If they really are changing and becoming more welcoming, they need to put some marketing effort into that first. Now, I will say this. If, in fact, you have that kind of history, you really only have two choices. Either you can try and paint over it and erase that history of the town, which I will say is the national approach. Let's call that the DeSantis method. Yeah, that is pretty much how they go about that business.
Does it say that in the bill? I'm asking you to tell me what's in the bill because you are pushing false narratives.
The other way you can handle that is acknowledge it and work to change it. That's really what you got. Denying it, that's not gonna work too well. And also just confronting it because of a TikTok doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. That is the I'm sorry I got caught method of problem solving. Some say the change happened long ago and they hope people will see how far Coleman has come. Nathan Anderson, Coleman's Parks and Recreation Executive Director, told AL.com that the town's history is complex, like most Southern communities. Is that what you call it? That's what you call it? It's complex. I remember my grandmother used to tell my mother growing up, don't go on the other side of them train tracks. It's complex over there. Yeah, it's real complex. I can't believe they didn't give me that loan. What was the reason they gave? Complex. Anderson hopes that the people will see for themselves that it has changed for the better and that the community is welcoming and inclusive to everyone. Quote, our message is, please come and experience it. I can assure you, it is not what you're hearing from those that aren't familiar with us, that haven't been here, definitely not in recent decades. So the last thing I want to do is say something insensitive to anyone that had history with this, like many communities in the South. Now, I have no issue with that particular statement. I understand that you're trying to put some lipstick on this race pig. I get that. It starts to look bad when you start saying things like the perfect Southern town. Yeah, maybe get some of that marketing work under your belt before you start going with perfect Southern town. Maybe do some of that work first, before you go with perfect Southern town. Yeah, boss, I know I was a no call, no show yesterday and the day before, but I'm here on time today. I'm the perfect worker. Quote, all I can say is that it's not our story for today. We are the opposite, and we go to church with a diverse group of people. My kids go to school with a diverse group of people. We play ball with them. It is the opposite of what others are saying. Well, that is an interesting way to completely neg other people's actual experiences. It's at this point, I feel like I want to go to the TikToks. Yeah, I feel like I want to go. Let's see what the people on the ground are saying.
Oh my God, y'all come to Coleman, Alabama. Oh, it's a Hallmark winter Christmas. We want to invite everybody. Well, not really everybody, because there's a little history to Coleman, Alabama, that after dark it becomes a sundown town. What? How are we supposed to go look at the Christmas lights if it's a sundown town? I guess if you look like me, you got the complexion to provide the protection, so you're good. Come on down, y'all.
Are you looking for something fun to do this holiday season? Well, come visit us in Coleman, Alabama, where we are not a sundown town. We love everybody, especially you guys, you black people. You get your friends, you get down here. Just get there.
Last summer, I had a reason to go to Coleman. Once I finished with my business in Coleman, I've got in my car and realized, oh shit, I ain't got no gas. And so it was at night. I pulled off into a gas station, went inside, asked the gentleman at the counter, I said, can I get $30 on pump so-and-so? He didn't say, hey, hi, no, kiss my ass, nothing. He looked at me up and down, looked outside, looked back at me and said, are you sure you want to be here? Yeah. And to the white creators out there that are defending Coleman to the death, maybe you'll listen to me.
Anderson also shared that over Black Friday weekend, 16.6% or 7,000 attendees of the Crystal Kinder Mark were from the Black community. This is according to an analytic tool that tracks consumer foot traffic called Placer.ai. Now, if you want to make me feel better about the racist history of the town, tell me you counting the black people. Yeah. Go ahead and tell me you counting the black people. That is what makes me feel safe. You know what I mean? That's what makes me feel safe. Also, when you have a tracker called Placer, that just warms my feet. My family always used to tell me, you are not safe until they start tracking you. When they start tracking you, then you good. When AL.com posted an article on Facebook about the Southern Living Christmas Town designation, many comments reiterated Coleman's reputation for once having had signs that supposedly warn, and don't let the sun go down on you in this time. I heard something about that.
For some reason, I keep seeing Coleman, Alabama in this presentation as a picture-perfect Christmas destination. And I just want to remind y'all that shithole is a sundown town. They just don't have the damn sign anymore. My great-grandmother told me I could not go to Coleman, Alabama. Every year when all the Alabama high schools send their students to Wallace State for the basketball championship, the buses will not stop in Coleman.
Quote, last time I was passing through Coleman, 2 black ladies came into the Walmart at the same time, and every single Caucasian in there gave them the death stare. I've never felt more embarrassed being in a store. It was insane. I guess they look like Target shoppers. I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. We are quite fond of Target. Quote, okay, so my daughter had a couple of soccer games in Coleman and Arab this season, and we have never had any issues. The people were always pleasant. However, we leave before dark because I too have been taught to leave before the sun goes down. Did she just say we've never had any problems, but we leave before dark? See, what I do is I just abide by Jim Crow rules, and that way I don't have no problems. That way I know that whatever line they draw for me, whether it's today or whether it's civil rights movement or pre-civil rights movement or Jim Crow, I stop at Jim Crow, so I make sure we good.
One of the things that's actually happening in our culture, which you're now starting to see in our politics, is the reinvigoration of black families with younger black men and black women. And that is also helping to breed the revival of a black middle class in America. You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together.
Nobody asked you, Byron Donalds. They got a nice little photo here, which is phenomenal. This is a good addition to the article. And don't think some of these photos we taking today gonna look too much different under the light of time. I'm just saying. White demonstrators at the city limits of Coleman awaiting the arrival of a march organized by the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to protest the upcoming trial of Tommy Lee Hines in 1978. One woman is holding a sign that reads, "Keep Coleman clean, keep ends out." Now, one thing I will say, I understand that technology has changed quite a bit, but there's a lot that looks filthy about that photo. There's a lot that looks filthy about that photo. I think we needed selfie mode. I think we needed selfie mode in this particular. In fact, this might be actually the inspiration for selfie mode, is her holding that sign. The late Tuscaloosa news columnist Ben Windham in 2006 interviewed former state rep Tom Drake, who grew up in Coleman, about the sign. You could mention Coleman anywhere in the state and black people would say, "Oh no, I don't want to go there." He quoted Drake as saying, "Black people were afraid to go into certain parts of Coleman County. That's just the way that it was." Told you all you had to do was go roller skating. You would have fixed that right up. Several black people who have lived in Coleman told AL.com that the historical perception is not indicative of the current reality in the city, which hosts the annual Rock the South Music Festival that attracts more than 100,000 people over 3 days. Ronell Hall, a black man, has lived in Coleman his whole life and intends to stay there and raise his family. He posted a TikTok video offering his experience living there and addressing the comments about Coleman being a sundown town. Let's check that out.
I'm a local here in Coleman, and I guess there's a few things that I could say that'll help out a few families. I'm here to tell you today that Coleman's not what it seems like, or what it sounds like, or what you've been told about it. I'm 35 now, and I've lived here my entire life. My parents have lived here, my grandparents. They've owned land and now I own their land. And this is just how it is, generational. This is how we do it. With that being said, I've learned a lot from people here in Coleman. I mean, a lot. And I won't take any of that away from any of these people. So this is why I'm making this video, to tell you guys right now that what you guys have heard of Coleman, it's not that. It's not a sundown town. My son goes to school here, actually, okay? And I actually coach these kids. I'm a youth coach here, and that's how I give back to the community. For the people that's saying that it's sundown and you're going to get hurt if you go out there, it's not going to happen. These people are not going to harm you guys. They're very nice people, and they'll probably just smile and say hey and go about their day. I promise you, they are not worried about y'all. So don't knock it till you try. You should just come and just have a good time. Me and my family, we're going to go back out there and we're going to have a great time. I'm actually going to ice skate. So I'm sure you'll be seeing a TikTok of that too. But at the end of the day, I'm here to tell you that Coleman's a great place with great people. I mean, these people will give you their shirt off their backs. Nice people that work hard for their families and just want to be here in their safe community. We all understand what it used to be like. We do. But I'm here to tell you as a local and as a black man from Coleman, Alabama, you're good. And when I tell you this, I'm not sitting here saying that there isn't nobody racist in Coleman. There's racist people everywhere. Okay, but what I'm here to tell you is that you're going to be okay. You're going to have a great time. You're going to go home, and everything's going to be just fine. So I'm just here to help out my community, because how you guys are making it sound, it's not like that. And I hate that you guys are making people not come here.
And by the way, Hall wasn't alone in those assertions.
I keep seeing all these videos about Coleman, Alabama, and I remember Coleman, Alabama, especially when I was in the military. I used to have to go up to Huntsville sometimes. So I just want to say, I ain't had no problems in Coleman, Alabama. Matter of fact, my ex-girlfriend's from Coleman, Alabama, and I don't know what you guys are talking about. So what I think I'm going to do this weekend is I'm going to run up to Coleman, Alabama, and hang out for the Christmas Hallmark. Go to the warehouse again, downtown, maybe get something to eat. Not a bad place at all. I mean, you people are overreacting, and I think people are just looking at a video from what someone else said, and they are basing what they heard about Coleman, Alabama. They're just basing it off of what they think. But overall, like I said, Coleman's a nice place, nice people.
And they even added this photo, which is that's a real photo. That was not staged at all. Wait, they used that exact same photo in the college brochure? Are you sure? Najee Davis moved to Coleman from New York to play college basketball in 2012. He said his entire time in Coleman was the epitome of Southern hospitality, and mentioned he moved in with a local white family through a basketball and church program. Davis said the family became his home away from home, and he never felt unsafe, even after dark. Davis no longer lives in Coleman, but says he still visits. He says he was confused with the focus on Coleman as an isolated example, when the South in general has a similar racist history. Now, you are correct there. The South in general has a similar racist history. It's just not, the South in general hasn't been called the perfect Southern town. So that's a Coleman thing. You know what I mean? You know what? To your point, I guess that would make it the perfect Southern town. Yeah, it depends on what you mean by Southern. Davis mentioned that anti-black violence was prevalent during the Jim Crow era all throughout Alabama and in the South, making virtually any place unsafe for black people. Well, that's a hell of a defense. The rest of the state's doing it too. Matter of fact, look at the whole SEC. Message. Davis said he thinks Alabama as a whole needs to work to combat its racist history and not put the onus on individual towns. The kids grow up in the school systems, they play sports, so it's not like Coleman is unsafe and in Birmingham you were fine. No, you weren't. Is that supposed to make us feel better? That was supposed to make us feel better about Coleman? That there was that kind of violence also in the state? Okay, yeah, I cheated, but it wasn't nearly as bad as Ronnie and them. Coleman Mayor Woody Jacobs provided a statement saying the city has been working hard to create a city that welcomes everyone, and our efforts to expand tourism and family-friendly attractions reflect that commitment. From our thriving festivals and sports tournaments to our charming small businesses and restaurants, we're proud to offer experiences that bring families from all walks of life together to enjoy all that our city has to offer. Our goal is to show the region and beyond that Coleman is a place of openness, warmth, and inclusivity. We're dedicated to ensuring that every visitor feels at home here and can share in the fellowship, fun, and sense of community that make Coleman such a special place to live, work, and play. Now, so much was said online. Let's go ahead and hear from the people on the ground.
So Coleman, Alabama is trending. We knew that it was a sundown town, right? We knew that it wasn't this German Christmas town, that it is in fact a sundown town, that it is not welcoming to people of color, to black people, that it never has been, and that that's its history, right? Like, that's not new information. But to come on here and see white people that are from Coleman talk about how offended they are that it's being labeled as a sundown town when it is exactly that. And I think that if you say that it's not, like, you just have to be so ignorant about where you're actually from, because I'm not a person of color and I've seen it. So how is it that you don't know? My youngest sister is a person of color. One of my coworkers was just snubbing my family and being rude to them and laughing at them. And I said, "What's your problem?" And he said to me, "Well, I just don't like children very much."
That's a whole lot of sundown towns, Alabama. What exactly was you into after dark you didn't want us to see?
When I first moved to Alabama in 2003 and I started looking for jobs, I found several jobs available in Coleman, Alabama. And in talking to my mom, she stopped me. She was like, "No, ma'am, you do not want to work in Coleman." She proceeded to let me know that Coleman was considered a sundown town, and that at some point in time, she said she wasn't for sure if the sign was still up or not, but it was a sign that was posted letting black folk know that they needed to be out of Coleman before the sun went down. Fast forwarding to 2016, when I started my truck driving career, literally driving the back roads of Coleman, Alabama, and coming into the actual city of Coleman, Alabama. First and foremost, I didn't even know what a sundown town was. And secondly, I'd never seen a sign that was saying that black folk had to be out of their town before the sun went down. And they didn't use the word black folk, black people. But the one thing that I am not is afraid to drive through Coleman. Is Coleman, Alabama a sundown town? Coleman, Alabama is a legacy sundown town. And not everybody is aware of the history of Coleman, Alabama. Did you know that Colony, Alabama, the town of Colony, Alabama, was developed and populated by those that felt discriminated in Coleman? People cannot get upset when black people get on this app and they say, "No, Coleman's a sundown town." They may not have that sign up, and there may be some racial tolerance within that city, but history says that Coleman, Alabama is a legacy sundown town.
I thought that was very balanced and very measured and extremely well said. So hopefully the kids listen and they pay attention.
I ain't in no hurry. I just take it slow, just as fast as I can. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. What I told you, I said, yeah. Okay.
All those black families went through all that terror so they could have the freedom to do that, huh? That's what it was all for? They need to make them leave too. This is from Laura Loomer. The elephant in the room is that Elon Musk, who is not MAGA and never has been, is a total effing drag on the Trump transition. He's a stage 5 clinger who overstayed his welcome at Mar-a-Lago in an effort to become Trump's side piece and be the point man for all of his accomplices in big tech to slither into Mar-a-Lago. Now, I would love to defend you against those allegations, Elon Musk, but did you not say that you spent Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago talking to Barron? Yeah. Even though you have more kids than NWA. Wasn't that you? Yeah. That's sounding stage 5 clingerish. I'm gonna be honest. That's sounding real stage 5 clingerish. Well, Vivek Ramaswamy saw Elon Musk getting dragged by his segregation shoulders. You know, they had him by his apartheid Adam's apple. And he decided he wanted in. Well, you know what? We got time this week. A lot of us off for the holidays. Some of us self-employed, some of us unemployed. We got time. The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers. And if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Ooh, they gonna love hearing some hard truths, as you love to say, about culture from Vivek. Yeah, they gonna love this. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. Can you tell he's still mad? You could tell he's still mad. Yeah, because he won the math Olympiad and came home and nobody had never even heard of that thing. Yeah, and then they stole his trophy and they gave it to the prom queen. Vivek, she didn't even keep that trophy. She threw it away like a week later. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zach and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel on Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Now, the first place you wrong, nobody held up Stefan. Yeah, nobody held up Stefan over Steve Urkel. I don't know what series you were watching, but I don't know that anybody enjoyed Stefan, if we're being perfect. Maybe Jaleel White enjoyed Stefan, that he got to talk regular for like a couple weeks, but that wasn't it. Second place you wrong, Zach Morris scored a 1502 on his SATs. Screech only got a 1220. Maybe Vivek Ramaswamy would know that if he weren't such a bleeping casual. Oops. Fact, I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows precisely because they promoted mediocrity. And their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. Now, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you. You can't tell me that Family Matters promoted mediocrity.
So, Steve, baby, what's going on?
Oh, I'm on my way to buy a telescope.
A telescope?
Sometimes I forget who I'm talking to. A telescope is a long tube that lets me look at things real far away.
You're not going to do that. Now, Saved by the Bell, on the other hand, where Zach Morris did higher than Screech on the SATs and somehow at least shot the fair one and fought to a draw with AC Slater, who was the captain of every sports team, including some sports that had never been invented. That kind of promoted mediocrity. I'll be honest, that one kind of promoted mediocrity. Yeah, it did. It did. I mean, they made Lisa be Screech's love interest. And then Zach just dabbled one day and decided he was going to holler one day. Y'all remember that episode? That was a famous episode in the Black. We were not feeling that. Oh, you just decided one day you going to smile at Lisa and she come calling? Is that all we good for? Lark Voorhees deserved better than that. She deserved better than that. And a prepubescent Reese Waters deserved a lot better than that too. I cried over that one. I'm not proud of it. I'm not. Get your hands off Lisa. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends. That I can ride with. Way fewer reruns of Friends, like zero. More math tutoring, fewer sleepovers. More weekend science competition, fewer Saturday morning cartoons. More books, less TV. More creating, less chilling. More extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Vivek, tell us, let's be real. You wasn't invited to the mall, was you? Huh? You wasn't invited? You weren't invited to the mall, was you? No. Not because I wasn't invited either. I used to walk around the mall by myself, pretend to be shopping, but I just wanted to be around the cool kids. But at least I got out the house. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s or even now who raise their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Personally, if you raise your kids on reruns of Friends, you deserve what you get. I'm be honest. If you talking about hard truths, you ain't mentioned no living single in there. That'd be some hard truths. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. This can be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from slumber before, and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. Now, this is the part where I highlight that you're trying to remake and reform American culture under the banner that says, make America great again. Yes, again. Say it with me, Vivek Ramaswamy. They ain't trying to be excellent. They trying to be 50s. Excellence would be being honest about the progress that we have in fact made as a country, thanks in large part to a lot of the programs that have been installed, which allow a lot more of Americans to realize that American dream. But because we decide to engage in culture wars, we're going to throw all that away in the name of making America great again. Ain't nobody say nothing about excellence. We just want to be great. What is great? How do we define great? Just us, because we are great. That's the work we have cut out for us. Rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence, I'm confident we can do it. That's right, wallowing in victimhood, because it definitely was Kamala Harris who spent the entire campaign calling America all but a trash can. Oh wait, he actually did also call it a trash can. And Vivek, if you truly want to step into your Americanness, right? If you want to be included in the collective we as Americans, that whole diatribe that you just laid out sound a lot like you wallowing in victimhood, player. I'm gonna be honest. Sound like you wallowing in victimhood. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it definitely did. Both personally, because I know a ton of that was biographical, but also as a culture, as a group, that sound like a whole lot of victimhood. That sound like a whole lot. I know you use victimhood and you think it really can only apply to people advocating for civil rights and equity, but victimhood actually has a whole larger connotation. Yeah, yes, you can also do it. And you did.
A lazy, wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. Sounds a little embittered, maybe. Is it American culture that's the problem?
Somebody got stuffed in a locker. I'm not going to say who. Look, I think there's a way to solve this and talk about this that doesn't denigrate all of American culture. I mean, I'm now understanding more and more how he got 100 votes in Iowa or whatever it was he got during the Iowa caucus. The reality is, and Elon, by the way, clarified or further explained his position later and was talking about saying, I want to bring in the top 0.1% of engineering talent from around the world. It's like bringing in a Jokic or a Wembyana to help your whole team if you want to make a comparison to the NBA. So I think we can bring in the absolute top talent from around the world, and at the same time, not insult the rest of the United States of America and our culture and the way we do things here, and also lift up the American students who have the talent and who have the interest and put them in the right educational opportunities. I think what he did today was to overtalk it. A lot of MAGA people are not happy. A lot of Republicans are not happy.
Now, this may be hard to believe, but the response to Vivek was actually worse than the response to Elon Musk. I know nobody who watches my channel would be surprised by that. Ann Coulter wanted in because she already told Vivek what it was.
Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during
in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you're running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
But this time she was laser focused and actually stayed on topic. American workers can leave a company, imported H-1B workers can't. Tech wants indentured servants, not high-skilled workers. Oops. Did y'all just left the whole grift out there on the timeline for Ann Coulter to expose? Is that what y'all just did? It sounds like that's what y'all just did. And you knew that Nikki Haley wasn't going to miss an opportunity to bust Vivek's head.
Well, I want to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which was about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Your adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it.
She said that I have a woman problem. Nikki, I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And I think that that's what people need to know. Nikki is corrupt.
This time she goes in, there's nothing wrong with American workers or American culture. All you have to do is look at the border and see how many want what we have. We should be investing and prioritizing in Americans, not foreign workers. Now this is awkward. Here I am with Nikki Haley, who is the most nominated Racist of the Week recipient, and Ann Coulter, who has at least two who raised y'alls. First, Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. I'm not picking sides. I'm dancing. Cue the music.
Never thought that I was leave my face. No, I never thought that I was leave my face. We bonded over bigotry, but they weren't supposed to turn on me. No, I never thought that I was leave my face. Now I never thought that I was leave my face. No, I never thought that I was leave my face. Bonded over bigotry, but they weren't supposed to turn on me. No, I never thought the birds would eat
Watching Vivek, Elon, and Sachs try to explain their rationale about importing foreign-born talent to the America First morons has been absolutely glorious. The slack-jawed MAGA crowd really thinks you can take uneducated white dudes and train them to become engineers. Not only do they think that has been apparent to me and mine for quite some time. You know how we all are DEI, right? Because anybody could do whatever we end up doing. They absolutely believe you can take uneducated white dudes and train them to become engineers. There's no question. But it wasn't a problem, was it? It wasn't a problem. Now it's a problem. It's a testament to Vivek and Elon's arrogance that they really believe they could convince the MAGA morons that importing technical talent was essential to American success. They should have backed the Democrats if they wanted to appeal to reason. Yeah, it's crazy to think that the movement who characterize Kamala Harris as a corporate Democrat and the Democrats as being out of touch so they can ride with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and J.D. Vance might not be consistent. You know, they might not be all that consistent. Vivek woke up the day after Christmas and thought to himself, let me go post to my white supremacist followers that American students are lazy and stupid and immigrants are smarter because their parents didn't let them watch Saved by the Bell. They sure enough are. Yeah, they had a full-on leopard feast in his replies and in his mentions. But I think the most joyful celebration, I believe, came from Nick Fuentes, who saw a moment to tell Vivek exactly what it was. If you didn't catch it up to this point, we'll tell you exactly what it was. I don't really care about the economy that much. I just don't want to live in a country that looks like India. No, that's your man. No, that's your man. Yeah, that's y'all. That's y'all. Yeah, that's friendly fire. We didn't. No, y'all handle that. Yeah. Let them fight. Let them fight. I didn't see nothing. Remember that the tech bro oligarchs are almost all immigrants themselves. They're wealthy, pro-gay, atheist, cosmopolitan liberals who bought the dip when Trump was at his lowest so that he could make them richer. They were never American nationalists.
I hate to say I told you so. Although I don't really. It actually feels really good. I feel really good saying, I told you so. I told everybody exactly what would happen. Nobody listened. They all attacked me. They should have been attacking Trump. They should have been attacking the people on Trump's team. Instead, they attacked me, and now this is what you get. This is what you all get. This is what you voted for. And nobody could say that they didn't know, because I told you.
Oh, the clarity of after the election. It really is something, isn't it? It really is something. Everybody just see everything so clear in the light of December. You know, isn't this amazing, right? Just unbelievable vision in the light of the holiday. Oh, this is going to be a long 4 years. You're slow and you're infuriating.
So for all the Trump voters that are in my comments talking about, it's not about left versus right, it's about up versus down. Listen, I'm proud of you for having baby's first thoughts of class consciousness, but I have neither the time nor the crayons to explain to you exactly how dumb you look making that statement. Listen, I get it. We're all tired of being f***ed by billionaires, but you are the guys that are so tired of being f***ed by them that you voted for one so you could have eye contact while he does it. Every single one of you looked at the lady who said she wanted to tax the rich and make them pay their fair share, and you went, nuh-uh, cheaper eggs. So yeah, I get it. It's up versus down, absolutely. But I am not going to forgive nor forget the fact that you put us in this f***ing spot.
All right, MAGA, come on down. Now, I've already given you the blow-by-blow of the tiff that initially erupted between Elon Musk and some of his former sycophants on X, namely Laura Loomer. The elephant in the room is that Elon Musk, who is not MAGA and never has been, is a total effing drag on the Trump transition. He's a stage 5 clinger who overstayed his welcome at Mar-a-Lago in an effort to become Trump's side piece and be the point man for all of his accomplices in big tech to slither into Mar-a-Lago. Now, I would love to defend you against those allegations, Elon Musk, but did you not say that you spent Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago talking to Barron? Yeah. Even though you have more kids than NWA. Wasn't that you? Yeah. That's sounding stage 5 clingerish. I'm gonna be honest. That's sounding real stage 5 clingerish. And not to mention deadbeat. And then there was round 2 where Vivek Ramaswamy tried to jump in, and the reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. It went about as badly as any other black business that Vivek Ramaswamy has tried to jump in.
Is it American culture that's the problem?
Somebody got stuffed in a locker. I'm not going to say who.
This time she goes in, there's nothing wrong with American workers or American culture. All you have to do is look at the border and see how many want what we have. We should be investing and prioritizing in Americans, not foreign workers. And here comes Nick Fuentes off the racist ropes. I don't really care about the economy that much. I just don't want to live in a country that looks like India. Now, one of the things I didn't get around to highlighting in that last piece is just how rich it was to watch how little capacity MAGA has for hearing about, their culture. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating just to be told that your culture is the problem? Not any of the tangible issues that you have with inequality or not giving opportunity. Oh no. It's your culture. What would be the equivalent to talking about black on black crime in Chicago? I was just waiting for Vivek to start talking about white on white crime in Wichita. Your problem is all that meth you got going on in Missouri. It's all that counterfeiting in Kentucky, moonshine in Minnesota. Even Matt Gaetz took time away from Cameo to post, "We welcome the tech bros when they came running our way to avoid the third grade teacher picking their kid's gender and the obvious Biden-Harris economic decline. We did not ask them to engineer an immigration policy." And that is something coming from Matt Gaetz. You know how much money it cost him to get off Cameo and type out that on X? I mean, that had to have cost him like $3-4. By the way, have we heard from Lauren Boebert ever since her self-proclaimed best friend had his report leaked? Of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene has never seen a controversy she won't inject herself in. Good gracious, I came out of Christmas bliss to see arguments about American labor versus H-1B imported labor and MAGA split over this issue. I wonder which way she'll go on this. She likes to proclaim herself a woman of the people. Good. That means everyone is engaged in saving this country. Here's some tough reality for you. There are some big MAGA voices with large social media platforms throwing down their opinions, yet they've never run a company that relies on thousands of skilled, highly trained workers with a constant need for reliable labor, yet they claim authority over the subject matter. When you spend years trying to constantly hire, train, maintain a good, reliable workforce, which is a 24/7 never-ending cycle, your real-world experience will produce an opinion based on reality, and all of your followers on X don't translate to this. That is fascinating. That is a whole lot of nuance when it comes to immigration that literally nobody had before the election. That is crazy. She really has come so far in a month and change, because pre-election, they were just crime machines. Now, when you run a business, and I'm sure she knows all about that. She's seen how to run a business, given all that merch that was moved after B6. Yeah, so she knows all about commerce. The other part of that seemed like you were talking about somebody specifically. Yeah, that sounded a little personal. A little Laura Loomer get back. And I'll be honest, if I was you, I would probably want some get back. Marjorie Taylor Greene is two-faced. She used to call me, begging me to write her one-liners that she could read in Congress about Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. And now she's acting like a lefty, calling me racist over a funny joke. This is a woman who has no convictions. Like a hooker, she sells herself to the highest bidder. Her highest bidder in her case was Speaker McCarthy. Now she's irrelevant and she's lashing out because she's jealous. Why is Marjorie Taylor Greene working with Democrats to attack Trump allies 50 days out from the election? It's time for people to come to terms with the fact that this woman is not who she pretends to be. Marjorie Taylor Greene is the most miserable lying bee in Congress, and we need to inform more MAGA patriots of how treacherous this woman is. It was so obvious and transparent. Even the architect of B6 herself had to call that out in Jasmine Crockett. Thank you for playing. Well, Elon Musk decided that wasn't enough drama for him. He decided that he wanted seconds. Posting, "The reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that made America strong, is because of H-1B. be. Notice he's saying the companies. It is the companies that made America strong. Yeah. I caught all of the wording in that tweet. It is the companies that made America strong, especially Tesla and SpaceX, right? Take a big step back and F yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you can't possibly comprehend. Ooh, F yourself. That is, where have I seen that before?
Now, obviously, you know that there's a public perception that, and you're clarifying this now, but there's a public perception that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Elon also clapped back more directly on his platform, restricting accounts and censoring like I haven't seen since Spice in the 90s. What, don't act like I'm the only one.
Like the far-right activist Laura Loomer, who has been bashing Musk for days now on this and is even accusing him of censoring her on his own platform. She is the anti-immigrant Trump ally who is now claiming that her blue checkmark was removed, her subscriptions were deactivated, her character limits for tweets and posts on X were limited for what she says is, quote, raising concerns and speaking the truth about the technocratic takeover of our country in the White House. Now, that was after she posted racist messages like this, saying our country was built by white Europeans, actually, not third world invaders from India.
Now, it is at this point I would like to highlight what a liability it becomes when you have gone so far down the road of permissiveness as Elon Musk has with regards to his platform, when you do in fact try and come down on anyone. It actually kind of reminds me of the Marjorie Taylor Greene, Laura Loomer situation talking about Harrison Floyd. If you recall, part of their tiff was when Laura Loomer accused Marjorie Taylor Greene of dropping ends on Harrison Floyd, which is a choice you can make when you have a back and forth. However, the thing that you've also communicated is that that wasn't something that you felt like was problematic enough for you to say anything at the time. You were perfectly fine with it and only see fit to bring it up now because Marjorie Taylor Greene stepped out of line and called you out. Fast forward to now. So Elon Musk, you sat and let all of this behavior, specifically from Laura Loomer. Let's talk about Laura Loomer. You sat there and let her say what she said about Sheila Jackson Lee. You sat here and let her say what she said about Joe Biden. You sat here and let her say what she said about Kamala Harris. You have let her be one of the most over-the-top racist and offensive trolls, to the point where she's the leader in the clubhouse for Troll of the Year. And you literally did nothing. But all of a sudden, she comes and starts talking about H-1B visas, and now she's restricted. See, the problem with that is when you have let all of that go, but this is what you have an issue with, all of a sudden your cosign of everything she did in the past becomes pretty apparent. Because if it was all about free speech and you just letting everybody say whatever it is that they want to say, well, then naturally this would be fine. But this is something that you actually object to, which means the other stuff has to fall in the category of stuff you riding with. And here's the point where I would like to highlight this fact for all of my black conservatives who out here wearing a red hat, waving the Elon Musk flag. This your man's? This your man's right here? And not just black conservatives. How about my black Tesla owners? Yeah, it was really that deep for you to have a Tesla. It was really that deep. You sold your whole entire soul to drive around in this. Oh, don't go nowhere, free speech advocates. No, don't go nowhere. No, come here. No, because this was your champion of free speech, right? This was your champion of free speech, right? I'm old enough to remember when somebody would give themselves a title, they wouldn't violate it so publicly and blatantly and immediately. I'm old enough to remember when people would give themselves a title, they would hide their loud violation of all the ideals of said title. Not 2024. And no, Elon wasn't done. He went back in saying that those contemptible fools must be removed from the Republican Party, root and stem. The contemptible fools I'm referring to are those in the Republican Party who are hateful, unrepentant racists. They will absolutely be the downfall of the Republican Party if they are not removed. I ain't seen gaslighting like this since I stopped watching Cheaters.
Horace, have you been faithful to this woman?
Well, she know I haven't been faithful.
This man done enabled the worst racism on the internet on his platform. Actually reinstated it. Not just enabled it, he reinstated it. Like if you were to go and take your car back to the shop, like if you would go back to Tesla and say, I need a little bit more power. What is it can you put? Can you put a little bit more power underneath the hood? This man went and took X to the shop. I need a little bit more racism. You inject a little bit more racism in the algorithm. Yeah. Can you do that for me? This man went and had it reinstalled on his platform like a new operating system, and now wants to turn around and call them contemptible fools and damn the racism in the Republican Party.
Why?
Because it's threatening his pockets. Not any kind of personal, right? It'd be one thing if he was just taking a stand. No, to protect his ability to bring in cheap labor. That is when he decides to take a stand on racism. And once again, as was the case with the censorship on the platform, the why is just as damning as the act itself. It's not that I have such a problem with racism, because clearly I don't. But I'm not above turning around and calling you that to make a couple dollars. I am not. That's who you're dealing with. That's who you empowered. Let's keep this party going. So basically, the right split in two factions, tech right and right. And the tech right is like, hey, we need H-1B visa people to do the jobs. And the right was like, no, you need to hire Americans. And the tech right is like, but you got, wow. He went with the he went with the R word. Well, surely Elon Musk is not. He can't co-sign that. And the right is like, well, you don't train us. And the tech right is like, you can't out-train. He went with two R's. Well, I mean, you can be racist on the platform, but you can't go with the R word. And while all this was going on, we learned some people really don't like Indians. Yeah, Elon Musk can't, huh? Oh, he commented? That pretty much sums it up. That was eye-opening. That's y'all's man's. That's y'all's man's. That's what he called y'all. Y'all got kettle corn over there? Okay, because I'm almost out of this popcorn watching this one. I want some kettle corn because this thing got sweet. This thing got sweet. Now to that last part, he learned some people really don't like Indians. Well, I don't know why you would have learned that, given the anti-brownness the anti-coloration, which was flagrant all throughout, certainly 2024, but I would say the last 10 years. Post-Obama, all of a sudden, we got hostile towards colors, like they were bleeding in the laundry. Now, Elon Musk's latest offensive did not go unchecked, by the way. Something I did not know, actually, is that Steve Bannon been on his neck for a minute.
New Orleans folks can pronounce Chapel Toulis, but can't pronounce Farrell, Earl, Burrell, Eric, Sink, or Corner. Did it perfectly.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, that's the wrong video. That was from my Instagram story. Y'all should follow me though at Reese Waters. Nah, here's Steve Bannon.
I mean, I think until Elon Musk starts letting back on the true anti-CCP people that he keeps blocked off there, myself included. Not that I want to go on there. Oh yeah, no. He's owned by the Chinese Communist Party. What are you talking about? Tesla, his only thing of real value is Tesla. He uses it for margin loans. He sells the stock. The Shanghai joint venture is 100% controlled by the CCP. This is why he never goes after the CCP. This is why he always backs off. This is when they had the protest. They had the protest about the lockdowns of COVID. He will not do it. Elon Musk is a total and complete phony.
Elon Musk, and by the way, when we cut him off, he went begging the CCP, and that's why they have the joint venture in Shanghai, the Tesla, which is 100% of his value, right? This guy lives on government contracts and taxpayer subsidies, okay? It's all, we're going to get Joe Allen in here for a second to transform it. Elon Musk, once again, brother, I'm smart enough to tell you no to your face, and I'm evil enough to be able to expose you as a running dog for the greatest enemy this nation's ever had. You're a war profiteer. You're sleeping with the enemy, brother, and you've been doing it because you're not an American nationalist. You're not even an American.
Kind of reminds me of that meme about name something that's praised when you're rich, but denounce when you're poor. Getting money from the government. How about that? Yeah, we get money from the government. Oh, we ghetto. We got no class and we are lazy. Why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? But when you rely on government contracts, yeah, when you need our collective taxes in order to keep the lungs of your business afloat, then it's all good. I would also add to that list of things that are praised when you're rich, but denounced when you're poor. Being into wine.
This whole thing about, we want to get all this and they're only geniuses, that's H-1B visas. That's not what it's about. It's about taking American jobs and bringing over essentially what become indentured servants at lower wages. Like I told those guys in the room, hey, if you got an Einstein every 25 years, come to us. Maybe we can make an exception for Einstein. Maybe, if it's proven. The whole thing's a scam. This thing's a scam by the oligarchs in Silicon Valley to basically take jobs from American citizens, give them to what become indentured servants from foreign countries, and then pay them less. Simple. To let them into through the golden door.
That's right. He echoed the exact same sentiment as Ann Coulter, saying exactly what it is and exactly why he's going to these lengths in order to preserve his employees. This is the one that really got me, though. This man went and posted, the point was not to replace DEI, which is one form of racism/sexism, with a different form of racism/sexism, but rather to be a meritocratic society. This man done look MAGA right in the eye. He looked MAGA right in the eye and said hiring y'all would be He called y'all DEI. He called y'all DEI.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
This was supposed to be an America First, Make America Great Again movement. And they were very specific about their vision of who America was and the kind of culture that they wanted to preserve. He went and amplified all the voices that advocated for that, no matter how ignorant they might have been in making their point, that this is America first and we are trying to preserve our way of life and our culture, only to turn around and say he needs the freedom to hire outside of the country because to do anything else would be DEI. I hate to tell you this, MAGA, y'all done got set up. Y'all done got set up. And you know what? I have a hard time feeling sorry for you because I don't understand why it wasn't apparent that this was going to happen. Let me ask you. So how do you characterize Trump? Right? Trump's a billionaire, right? Trump, because nobody has a higher opinion of Trump and his finances than y'all do. So let's go with y'all's perception of Trump. So yeah, Trump's this billionaire, real estate magnate, everything he touches turn to gold. We don't hold him responsible for Trump steaks or chitlins. I know. Like so you got Trump, then you got the richest man in the world behind him. Then you have J.D. Vance, who has been propped up by tech bros in Silicon Valley throughout his entire journey into politics. Those are the people that you were expecting to come and advocate for you? For Central Ohio? Huh? For Western Kentucky? Like they were the ones. Like they were the ones that were supposed to come and rescue Iowa. Like that was what y'all thought? Wrong. That makes less sense than investing in crypto with Hawk Tua. I can't feel sorry for you, MAGA. What was you thinking? On the one hand, it's funny. And I want to laugh, but I'm also mad because I'm like, why was the last 6 weeks necessary for you to put this together? And by the way, y'all know exactly who's responsible. I don't know who y'all gonna hold responsible, but y'all know exactly who's responsible, which actually puts some of y'all in a bit of a weird position. But in case you didn't know exactly where the chips fell with this, we got this. President-elect Trump told the Post Saturday he supports immigration visas for highly skilled workers, appearing to side with Elon Musk in the intra-MAGA debate on the issue. I've always liked the visas. I've always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them. I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H-1B. I've used it many times. It's a great program. Now that was from Trump himself, who, by the way, restricted access to foreign worker visas in his first administration and has been critical of the program in the past. Exactly how critical?
The H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers.
Right now, widespread abuse in our immigration system is allowing American workers of all backgrounds to be replaced by workers brought in from other countries to fill the same job for sometimes less pay.
Well, he pledged to end the H-1B program in 2016, saying the H-1B program is neither high-skilled nor immigration. These are temporary foreign workers imported from abroad for the explicit purpose of substituting for American workers at lower pay. He added he was totally committed to eliminating the rampant, widespread H-1B abuse. Late in his first term, his administration moved to tighten rules around eligible jobs and wages, though the program largely remained intact otherwise. Oops. So what you mean to tell me is the man had this long-standing opposition to H-1B. Now it's magically something that he's in favor of and uses in all his properties? Yeah, y'all gonna have to speak to the manager. I'm sorry, MAGA, y'all gonna have to speak to the manager. Yeah, y'all get, and as a matter of fact, I would ask to speak to whoever's in charge. I will go straight to the head office with that one. Yeah, I would go straight to the head office. Call customer support. Call MAGA customer support because this is unacceptable. Now, what do the Laura Loomers of the world do now? They've been so nasty and hateful to just about everybody. Ain't no way back. She not coming this way. I would sooner listen to a Black History lecture from Candace Owens then be in cahoots with Laura Loomer and let her into our coalition. That ain't happening, and she knows it. So she ain't got no way back. Now she is all the way down the river, done bought this bill of goods, and now she sees exactly what it is. She opened up her bag when she got home. It was nothing but a bag of oregano and a couple of H1Bs. You love to see it.
Are we gonna do it? I never thought that I would leave my face. No, I never thought that I would leave my face. We bonded over bigotry, but they weren't supposed to turn on me. No, I never thought that I would leave my face.
Yeah, they did that. They had a whole Christmas display that made us throw our safety on the craps table, whether it is or isn't a sundown town, and then end of the year talking about immigrants. That is the perfect way to land the plane on the year that was. Now, you guys let me know who was your racist of the month. Go ahead and throw it in the comments. I'll actually probably have a poll on the community tab as well, and be on the lookout for a whole lot more where that came from, because we ended the year hot and we started the year hot.